Hey, good day, good day. It's good to be back on the closing argument. Today is November 27th, 2024. And in America, today is the eve of Thanksgiving, the start of the holiday season. And this when millions of Americans are traveling across the state to spend time with family and friends. And in America, we have to work. For us, we have to do this show. We should be traveling, but we said we owe it to our country and our people, so we will be here tonight. The Peabody is here. He had to leave work early today just to make sure he's on the show. And we'll have a special guest panelist. She ran away from us, but we got her now. She'll be with us tonight, maybe for I don't know for how long, but we'll see. Salimatu is here. Welcome, Salimatu. Good to see you.
Hello, happy Thanksgiving.
So we want to say welcome.
Good to be here.
And so we have a special guest tonight. We'll be bringing him in the next 10 minutes. I want him to get set. He's a constitutional lawyer. He's someone who's also a member of the Liberian National Bar Association. And he's a very important person. He's been he's the International Affairs Director for Africa Center for Law and Human Rights Incorporated in Monrovia, Liberia. Councilor Frederick A.B. Jewett, one of Liberia's renowned legal minds. He'll be helping us to understand what's happening in Liberia at the Supreme Court and other legal issues that we still finding yet to unpack. But before we bring in the next 10 minutes, we want to say, Peabody, welcome our sister, Salimatu, and I hear from you guys a little bit before we bring in our guests.
Salimatu, good to see you. Welcome again to the closing argument.
Thank you.
Been a while. I don't know where you've been hiding, but it's good to see you here, and we'd love to have you on the show tonight, definitely.
Salimatu, tell us about yourself. Where you been, Salimatu? Where you been?
Hello. I'm back in the U.S. So all y'all know work. So I've been working, just trying to get back into things in the U.S. A lot of personal loss, but at the same time, it's been a bittersweet year for me. So, but I'm glad everybody's doing good. I know I saw you, Tomalin, in July.
Yeah.
At the park. Yeah. So, but it's good to be back, and just kind of hop in the midst of what's happening in our sweet Liberia.
Very interesting country. Very, very interesting. As I read today at work, and I was very anxious to get the result of what was happening when I put on the news and read about Supreme Court has reserved. I'm like, what the heck is this? But that's Liberia. But it's good to be here. I know this is a busy time for a lot of folks. Folks are traveling up and down in the U.S. for their Thanksgiving. It's a busy time, but we want to also announce that we kick off our Christmas fundraiser for our reporters in Liberia, for the guys at Truth FM. And they've been doing an exemplary work, providing the radio station and the things that we've been on. It's been remarkable. And we kicked that off. So we're looking forward to having some support, for the Christmas. We don't want to just that Christmas for them and make sure that they have something to support the family. There are a couple of folks who have donated already, and we encourage the others to do that as well. Gala Joman Jala, and a few people who donated already. And we just want to say thank you. Let me just get the name. Our family, Sophia Swa Jomajala. They have donated. So we encourage others, but we're looking forward to a fascinating show here tonight. We are glad that the counselor will be coming on to really explain, because I think I'm a little bit dead in my mind here when I heard what the ruling reserve? What ruling are they going to come back and do another ruling, or do they need time to deliberate on the case? Do they need, I don't know nothing about that. So I'm hoping, but I am just sick of the nonsense that continues to take place in Liberia. Tomalin.
Salamatu. So what your take on what's been happening? I know you. I mean, let me just say, my condolences to you again. You've been going through. It's a tough year for you. I know you've been going through a lot of personal loss. I want to say our thoughts and prayers with you and your family, and with that you'll keep on hanging there and be strong. But what I know you're a very measured person. You always in the middle. But what's your thoughts? I mean, what's your perspective on what's been happening in the country the whole year, especially with this issue with the speaker removal?
That is speaker removal you start with.
I mean, everything. There's,
But it's so funny. There's a lot of things that haven't been.
Council becoming the next 5 minutes, so we're just getting ready for him. Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of. I mean, honestly, people will call me when I'm talking to some of my friends. They will mention something that's happening in Liberia, and one of the biggest story, of course, was the whole speaker remover. And you're right. I have a lot of respect for Fanati. I like him as a person. It's just I don't even know how to say it in a nice way, but I think at this point that Liberia politics, we keep going in circles. One government come in, we collect everybody, remove them, and try to put our people there. Next government I come, that the same thing that will happen. So it's unfortunate because I've been trying to sit down and figure out. I'm like, but why the one move the man? And one of my cousins looked at me and told me, he said, "Oh, so you not forget how the thing can work in Liberia? Eh? What kind of stupid question you asking for? What you mean? Why the one move the man? Do government in time? But again, we saw the change of government the last 6 years and what happened. And it's hard sometimes to feel sorry for people when you saw them do pretty much the same thing before. I always say, if you see somebody breaking the law and you don't try to stop it, you don't try to speak up, at some point it will come to you. Because to me, people are always testing the water and to see how far they will go. So the legislature, I mean, and again, I have a lot of respect for Councillor Kofa. I really like him. But it's the politics in Liberia. That's how it goes. There was a lot of other people. What Chief Justice that were removed?
Kabina Janet.
Yeah, and I argued with somebody. I didn't even know that man, but I argued with someone. I said, you know what? Why are they moving the man? Oh, the man used to do all kind of bad thing when he was there. Blah blah blah. The man wasn't good. But they weren't moving him because he broke the law in the legislature. They were moving him for politics or political reasons. And when they were moving him, people were cheering. There was a lot of people kind of happy about it because they felt he had done them wrong in some way, some in their life. But they removed him illegally, which he won in ECOWAS, right?
Yeah.
And nobody said anything. So now we come around. Government lasts for 6 years. 6 years, even 12 years is not long. So if you're not, when you see something happening that's wrong, it sounds so cliche. When you see something that's happening that's wrong and you don't say anything, you give other people the power to say, you know what, when I see something minimal, I'm trying to move you from there, I will do the same thing. Because maybe I'm missing something. I don't understand if he broke some kind of law. I know there was talk that, he remained the council, I think doing like a concession. He stayed as the counselor. He should have recused himself. But at the time when he was breaking that law, why you didn't use the justice system to address it? Wait, government not change power. So be it. We going to go to the same thing here in the big brother country of America. see somebody breaking the address the law in that moment. But you know, Liberia, as Dr. Peabody said, Liberia is a very
Yes, if la.
big ball country. It's a peculiar country. It's a big ball country. You can't, if you don't understand it, you're not surviving it.
So true. And that's the reason why we are about to bring in Councillor Frederick A.B. Jewe, International Affairs Director, Africa Center for Law and Human Rights Incorporated, Monrovia, Liberia. He's based in Denver, Colorado. And we now bring in Councillor Jewe to the closing argument. He'll be helping us as Liberians around the world, listen to watch him tonight, help us to unpack. Because one thing when it comes to legal issues, all Liberians become lawyers. Lord interpret. And now, since this thing happened, we have different interpretation of the law, of the Constitution. So it's only fair to the country and to the people to bring in someone who is spoken of the law, who knows the law, who have perhaps argued before the Supreme Court, member of the Liberian National Bar, also a professor of law too, to help us. So with all much ado, want to welcome Councillor Frederick A.B. Jewe to us to his closing argument. Councillor Jewe, welcome, and we glad to have you with us tonight. The Peabody is here, Salamatu is here, and Ben is here. Other guys will join us as the show progresses. Welcome, Councillor Jewe.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. There are a lot of things going on in our country, and most of it tie around the legality of what is happening or the illegality. So I think it was very necessary to come on and be able to discuss or unpack some of the issues that are occurring currently in our country.
So we'll, at the Peabody, Salamatu, Ben, we're going to get started. Because today is Thanksgiving Eve. We're taking everybody off the phone from the Thanksgiving shopping, the Thanksgiving travel. So let's not waste people's time and get going. The Peabody, kick us off.
Councillor, Jewe, good to see you, and it's always a delight to have you back here on the closing argument. It's a delight, and I'm glad that you made it, because we have been confused, disturbed. But I want you to bring us up to the rigmarole that we have right now in the legislature. I want you to I'd like to hear your side from the legal standpoint on what is happening, Councillor. I mean, the law. I mean, what is happening? Yeah.
So let me do what the lawyers would call brief the case if you're in law school.
Yeah.
Let me start from where it started up to where we are and why are we here. How many occurrences or actions have been taken? Starting around May of this year, the rumors started to come in that the House of Representatives were interested in moving Councillor J. Fonati Kofa. Their claim is that Councillor Kofa had been representing almost all of the major government institutions, including Maritime, LPRC, and other places, prior to being elected as the Speaker of the House. So they went around and started to get signatures of members of the House with the hope that they would meet Article 49 of the Liberian Constitution, meaning that they will have up to 49 representatives to be able to remove him. When it started, it went to a point that quote-unquote majority bloc obtained up to 47 signatures. Down the road, some of those who signed, some of the representatives who signed, said that they were no longer going to support the removal of Councillor Fonati Kofa. And so they stuck with him. So the issue, the number went down to 43 to 30. And so it continued to ravel until it got to the space where finally, I think it was last week, Tuesday, when the representatives majority bloc decided that they were going to meeting separately in the joint hall they then decided to remove Councillor Funanti Kofa along with committee heads who they thought they had summoned, they had asked to appear, and they did not appear. As to meeting in the joint hall, the Councillor Kofa thought that was illegal, and that there was no speaker in the house with the majority. Therefore, he moved to the Supreme Court and filed a petition for a writ of prohibition, raising the issue that Councillor Kofa is present in Liberia. He has not left. He was not absent, and so there could be no reason for the majority Black to be sitting in the joint hall where the Senate and the House of Representatives meet when the president is delivering his annual message. That prohibition was denied, and the parties, meaning the majority Black, returned to the joint hall, and then Councillor Kofa and his group returned to the main hall where they were meeting from time to time prior to the split. And so there was an adjournment because Councillor Kofa and his group could not get the simple majority provided for by Article 33. So when Councillor Kofa was removed by and through a vote of the 43, there were 45. And then they said the 5 representatives who signed earlier when they started the struggle to remove Councillor Kofa, where their signature were not revoked merely by going out and obtaining a notarized reclination of their signature on the document that they signed. But the majority said no. The way the process works in the House is that when members of the House decide to agree with a particular issue and finally at a later point disagree, they must appear before the House and formally inform the majority Black to say that, or the House to say that they were reclaiming the signature. They were no longer in support of the majority Black. And so if that was not done, it meant that the signature remained as legally effective as it was. So after the majority Black removed the speaker, declared his post vacant, dissolved committees, reappointed new members, Councillor Kofa then fled back to the Supreme Court, he and his minority supporters, and filed a petition for a writ of mandamus. I will tell you a little bit what the writs mean. I just want to state them in the meantime until I can come back to it one at a time and state their power and their functions. While the writ of mandamus was pending before the Supreme Court, Councillor Kofa and his group again went and filed something called the constitutionality of the action of the majority Black. So we started with a writ of prohibition to a writ of mandamus to now challenging the constitutionality of the action to remove him and dissolve the committees. Now, what is a writ of prohibition? What does it do? Under the laws of Liberia, a writ of prohibition is supposed to do 2 things. One, a writ of prohibition is supposed to prevent or inhibit an action that is considered legally wrong. It's supposed to bring it to an end. Or undo an action. The second aspect of the power of the writ of prohibition is to undo an action that is considered legally wrong but has been done. Now, before the Supreme Court, Councillor Kofa raised 5 salient points. To sum them up, they all had to do with the majority Black would not be meeting in the joint hall. The majority Black would not be holding section in the joint hall. The majority Black would not be conducting business as the House would do since he was present, and that the justice in chambers should cause the majority Black to return to the hall that they were meeting before with Councillor Kofa as the speaker. And if they had any complaint, they should go ahead and file it in that hall, not in a separate joint hall that they were meeting. the justice in chambers said that he was not going to interfere into what was taking place in the House, considering the doctrine of separation of power. So the prohibition did not succeed. It was denied, and where the majority of Black were meeting was not considered an illegal spot by the justice in chambers. Now, after the prohibition was denied, counsel that represented the Kofa group did not enter an exception and did not appeal. Now, under our laws, if a decision, whether rendered by a Saki court or rendered by an administrative agency or rendered by the Supreme Court, if it is a decision by the justice in chambers, you disagree with that decision, you must enter an exception and announce appeal to the full bench of the Supreme Court. If you do not do that, you are saying in essence that that decision is binding on you. So that's the first legal problem that I saw the Kofa group encounter. Following that, the same group moved back, the Kofa group went back to the Supreme Court. This time applied for a proceeding called a petition for a writ of mandamus. What mandamus does is that mandamus says that a judge or a public official who has power by law to exercise a particular jurisdiction or take a particular action, you are compelled to take that action when the mandamus proceeding is filed. But what the problem, and that is a petition that is currently pending before the Supreme Court. While a mandamus proceeding is filed with all of the issues that Councilor Kofa and his group and his council raised in the prohibition proceeding, are the very same issue raised in the mandamus proceeding, except that the addition is that the committees were dissolved, and members and officials of those committees were all removed and new appointments were made. While that is pending, a third petition was filed called in re, a petition to question the constitutionality of the action of the majority Black. Now, the Supreme Court have heard argument, I understand today, and the Supreme Court had reserved ruling in the two, I guess the court consolidated, meaning that the court decided to hear both the mandamus proceedings along with the constitutionality question that Councilor Kofa and his team raised. So currently we are before the court with the Supreme, the both sides before the court, waiting for the Supreme Court to rule as to whether the removal of Councilor Kofa and the dissolution of the committees in the House were constitutionally done, and whether the election of Representative Richard Nangbe Kun were also constitutional. We all will have to wait for what the Supreme Court will say. If you were to ask me what steps or missteps were occurred along the way, I thought the missteps from the Kofa side started when they filed the prohibition, and the justice rejected it, declined to issue the writ, and rejected that petition, and nothing else was done. On our law, you suffer something called laches and waiver. You waive your right. You say, even though you might think that you disagree, but you did not appeal, so therefore you are bound by such a decision. Quite frankly, I don't know why Councilor Kofa and his team decided to go fishing, looking for my prohibition first is denied, then proceed with mandamus, and then proceed with and in re the constitutionality of the action of the majority Black. It is troubling to me because it tells me that either the legal team were not well prepared, and they did not really know what they were asking for from the court, and therefore they were trying everything that could work. Hopefully the prohibition, then the mandamus, and then the in re the constitutionality of the action. So that's why we are here where we are today.
All right, let me give my second question, then we'll move on. Counselor, thank you for bringing us to that. What is reserve ruling? What is that?
So the Supreme Court, and this is a constitutional challenge before the Supreme Court. As one who practiced before the court has a right to rule just after the argument. But in most cases, the Supreme Court will reserve ruling, giving itself chance to do sufficient research, read the briefs, read the petition, read everything that is before the court in order to come back and deliver an opinion that will be much more consistent with law. Now, there are two different things. The court could have just summarized its decision and enter it today and write the opinion later on. But the court decided to not do that. It was going to go ahead and reserve everything, keep having heard the argument, decide to rule finally and once for all. So reserving the ruling will come back maybe by way of assignment, meaning other party will go to the Supreme Court and ask the court to issue assignment for the ruling to be heard. Now, let me go back a little bit and say, if the parties, and I hope they will do that, if none of the parties appear before the court and ask for assignment, and the court on its own does not issue assignment, this matter will remain as it is. Mr. Richard Nangbe-Kun will remain Speaker, as the majority thought they elected him. And Councillor Kofa will continue to claim that he is Speaker because he was not properly removed. I will hope that one of the parties will go to court and ask for a notice for assignment so that the ruling in the case can be conducted speedily.
Thank you. Let's go to Salamatu and then we'll come to
Batu.
Okay. Counselor, thank you for explaining that, especially for me. I've been trying to understand what was actually going on. The question that I really had to do with was there legal grounds to remove him? And if so, what is the legal issue that they're citing to remove him? Or is it just within our constitution, they can move him for whatever reason, as long as it's 2/3 of the vote? So whatever reason, if they decide they don't want him, they can just vote. Once they have 2/3 of the vote, they don't really need any kind of legal reason to remove him.
So the Constitution provides for the removal of the Speaker. Article 49 of the Constitution provides that a Speaker, Deputy Speaker, or official may be elected for 6 years. And for cause. Yes. And for cause, the same people who elected a Speaker or and a Deputy Speaker or any other officer may choose by a vote of 2/3 majority, choose to remove him as Speaker. 2/3 majority honored by Article 49 would mean that the majority black must have what they consider cause. They listed many things. They listed number one, that Councillor Kofa had been actively involved in representing government agencies and concessions. They named Councillor Kofa had been misusing the budget allotted to him. They listed Councillor Kofa being corrupt. That's some of the things they said. And so they developed the cause. Now, Article 49 says that when the cause is developed by a resolution or 2/3, but by a resolution or 2/3 members of the House, the Speaker can be removed. Now, what legal reason they had is that they said, after they raised all of these issues, they decided that, mind you, they were operating now at a body split into two. Councillor Kofa on the other end with those that supported him, and the ones that called themselves the majority black were in the joint hall and meeting there. They said they wrote Councillor Kofa in order to give him due process. They said they wrote him, serve him a copy of the complaint. Councillor Kofa said that he would, according to them, Councillor Kofa refused, or he often refused to receive the complaint because they were not sitting in the hall that they should have been sitting. That was their argument. And, you know, it's interesting. It's interesting in that the Senate and the House of Representatives, people in there are political agents. They may act based upon their political interest.
Yeah.
Do I, as a lawyer, believe that other house, if they were to resolve their problem, may be able to help the Liberian people make progress? I would tell you no. I know that all the guys in both houses or in this dispute are arguing for themselves and for their interest.
Yeah.
I understand that. But what is legally tenable is that when they vote, whether the vote is on legal grounds or not, when they vote and get a majority, in this case, they need 49. If they should get 49, Councillor Kofa will be removed for even stating they listed the cause already.
Okay.
And then he will be removed because that is a political theater in Liberia or in any country, the legislature. And so the Supreme Court will have little or nothing to do with how the speaker will remove unless it did not meet the procedural ground, their own rules, what the Constitution provides for. And that's why Councillor Kofa and his group are contending that you could not have used, because they said they're removing of 50 votes. Councillor Kofa and his group are arguing that you could not have removed Councillor Kofa from the position when 5 of those people that made up the 50 votes were people who said we no longer want to be part of removing Councillor Kofa. But the majority is arguing that that's not a way to do it.
Yeah.
You must have come before us and file a formal documentation indicating that you no longer support the idea of removing Councillor Kofa. So the question the Supreme Court has to answer is that could the 45 majority member that stayed 45 for a while, could they have added the 5 that signed before? Mind you, that's why I said the two groups are not in the interest of Liberia at all.
No.
So who fooled those? They were all adults. Who told them to go sign that they will remove Councillor Kofa? Were they on a duress? No. Are they minors? No. Are they people who are insane? No. Are they level-headed people elected by their constituencies to come and represent as representatives? Yes. Who told them to go and sign? And what is so important that made them to come back? Did they really come back? Or were they not, did they not get whatsoever that promised behind the house to them, enough of it? What made them to switch between, they begin to switch between the two groups? Why? Do they not know their own rule that if it is true that the rule provides that in order to decline the function of certain decision that you are taking, you must appear and then file papers to that effect? Of course, I'm sure they know that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. That was the only question I had.
Okay. Ben?
Thank you, Mr. Counselor. So after I want to address the issue about the prohibition because I listened to their counselor the day when the friends came from the court. So it was established that those guys said one thing outside, and when they went to the Supreme Court, they said different thing. So from what Sherman said, when they went at the court, they told the judge that they were not there to remove Flantu Kofa. So there was no way that the judge could have kept that stay on. So that was the reason why that prohibition was lifted. At the Supreme Court, they said, no, we're not moving him. So if the judge had kept the stay on, he would have been he would have been hurting them wrongly. So he removed it. stating that they were not in the position of removing Flanty Kofa. So that part of the case was even said by Councillor Sherman. He himself said it right outside. So I don't know if you want to address that issue first, then I can come up with another question.
So Councillor Sherman is a very seasoned lawyer. Councillor Sherman had practiced for a very long time before the courts in Liberia. When Councillor Sherman appeared for the majority black in the Supreme Court, at the time the majority black were around, I think 37. They are not even reached. I think they were say 43 or 37, something like that. 43. So Councillor, when the justice, I understand the justice asks, is the majority black interested in removing Councillor Kofa? And I understand Councillor Sherman said no. We are not removing him. We intend to give him due process of law. But what is interesting is that the petition for prohibition was not just based upon removing Councillor Kofa. It also included mandating the majority black to return to the speakership and the functionality of Councillor Kofa as a speaker. So once they got back, the justice refused to issue the writ. In fact, one of the things the justice said was that he would not interfere with placing a stay order on the functionality of the House, considering the issue of separation of power. But when they returned, what the majority did was that they started to also politically, mind you, this is a political matter. They started to politically look for people who they thought would be favorable to them to join. I know I saw DJ Blue in one of the videos running from the Kofa end to the majority. I saw there's another guy from Bapolo County who also ran on that side, and then instead of suspending 6 of the people that the representative that majority black accused of fomenting violence, they suspended 3 and they granted forgiveness to 3. You know why? Because that 3 is preparing to join them. So I think the court will have to answer to is that whether the 5 members who signed initially to remove Councillor Flanty Kofa were their signatures properly and legally removed. Is it enough to have written and say we no longer support the removal of Councillor Kofa, went to a justice of the peace in Liberia, notarized their statement, and then came back and started calling press conferences all over the place? Was that enough? Or were they to even go back to the House and serve a formal notice on the quote-unquote majority black? Maybe the Supreme Court might say that their signatures were removed, that the number, because if you remove the 5 from the 45, you will not get 50. If you kept the 5 members there, representatives there, you will get 50. So
right.
That's
so let's agree. Right. So let's agree that they have 50 on the paper. Mm-hmm. At the time they were voting, it says to tear. Mm-hmm. I watched their voting. They use yea and no. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, what kind of mathematician in this world can determine yea and no to have or to tear vote? Can anybody help me with that? So
if you read Article 49, there is nothing in it that says they should vote.
No, it says to tear. Yeah, they said
by a two-third majority. So by resolution of a two-third majority, the speaker can be removed for. So those of us who would learn a little bit of math, in as much as you use to tear, you talk about figures. Mm-hmm. So there is no way in this world you can use a yea and no to determine to tear. It's not possible. Ever it's not possible on earth. Maybe it's somewhere. To determine or to tear vote, it means you must have number. It must be a particular number upon which that to tear can come from. Mm-hmm. And they have
surprised. There must be a roll call. The roll call that day was 42. You can't. I mean, and few guys were absent. So there was no way that they could have gotten that 49 only based on the fact. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm just using my mathematical calculation. Say, if you say 210, it means you're talking about number. And you say you'll do year and nay can never determine 210.
So you see,
that's my nursing legal argument there.
So you see, what the House have been doing for itself is what was done to them. This is not the first time people say nay and yea in the House. So that's what they've been doing. Even if you, they are so backward that if you went to find out who voted on certain issue 2-3 months down the road, you cannot tell. Because there's nobody signing anything. That's how they've been operating. So I'm not saying it's a great way to operate. I'm saying that they decided to operate like that when was convenient to them. They will operate that way. And so when it came, I guess the real question is, could the five who said they declined from continuing to support the removal of Councilor Tikofa, could those 5 numbers be used as part of the quote-unquote 50? Because actually 2 cross when they were 43, 2 DJ Blue cross. And then there's another guy from Bapulu who also crossed and went and made them 45.
And here's my last question to you. How could they have justified that those signatures on that paper were actual people? How can the court or anybody, any lawyer, how could anybody justify that those signatures were those people that were in there without them calling the names and then looking at the paper to say, yes, this is my signature, I voted aye?
So the only people out of the 50, the only people who contending who said they signed but they were no longer going along with it were the 5 that still we can still go for. But the other 45, mind you, they've been doing this since. What is interesting about the Liberian situation is that they've been since May trying to gather signatures from people. They've been there's one, I call him, I think he represented Collins. Representative Collins said somebody followed him all the way around Jalata and gave him 15,000, and then they took 200 for the 15,000 as a means for him to join. But this is how they've been operating. If you listen to Councilor Kofa, he said that in the House they are being increasing budgets of many agencies and go by and get the money. That's the speaker saying that.
Yes, but so this time around, we want to tell the Liberia what is the right way to do it. We're not interested. Look, year after, we understand that there were wrong things done in the past. But we're saying, you know what? Enough is enough. We must have a place to start. So somebody here is being injured, and the injured party here is the speaker. So the Supreme Court, that's why when I hear people say, oh, don't get involved. No, someone is injured. And once someone is injured, the Supreme Court has to speak to that injury, and that is the speaker. So how is that interfering? Only God in heaven alone knows. If the Supreme Court was saying, do not remove him, then that's interference, but that is not the case.
Can I ask a question? Yeah. Okay. Isn't this how we've been voting in the legislature? Someone say yay, that means they for it. The person say nay. This is how it's been, right? For years. And shouldn't there be someone recording, okay, the representative from this place, this is how he voted, they're actually recording it? I know there used to be a website a long time ago. I want to say even during Ellington, there used to be a website that actually kept account of their attendance and how they were voting and what they were voting on. So you could see who was voting for what. But he said something that caught my attention. If 42 people show up, how did they get the majority vote that day? And 2, if the 5 people who are now changing their mind, are they saying that they did not sign it, or they're saying, oh, we changed our mind?
No, they signed it. They said we signed it. So
But
they went back and said we changed our mind. They went before a justice of the peace, and then they enter an affidavit swearing that they no longer wanted to continue, so their signature should be removed. But the justice of the peace is not the one that removes signature. All he does is you represent before him through an oath that you no longer want to be what you are. And as he signs and say, okay, this is what this person appeared before me and said. The question is, does the House rule provide that those who signed and said that they were declining, they no longer wanted the signature to be there, was it enough to just notarize it? Or another step was needed to go further and file information to the House with the Speaker present? Did they do that? They did not do that. My understanding that they didn't do that at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me come in. Good to see Robert Garguah. Councillor Jewe, I listened to Representative Goswa from Bassa. He said that they went before a notary public to inform the people that their signature on the document they signed should be removed, and a notary public signed it. Okay, so I just want to you address that, but the notary public being present to sign it, to witness it, and it was done before him to remove the signature from the document. But my question is, the Supreme Court. First of all, please tell us what was the role of the Attorney General today, the Justice Ministry. Why were they invited? Why were they invited to form part of this case from the executive branch? The second thing is that the issue about legal precedents. Okay, we saw Speaker Snow were removed, Speaker Tyler were removed, and the Supreme Court of Johnny Lewis and Francis Okpor, they ruled in their favor that because what we understand is that whatever a law that is made, a rule that come in conflict with the Constitution takes precedence. So while it's true that you say it's a political theater, they have their own rules, but at the same time, the Liberian Constitution said that anyone who is accused should be granted due process, should be allowed an opportunity to defend themselves before the accuser. But in this case, it's not been done to the Speaker Kofa. So address the issue about legal precedents in the Snow case, the Tyler case, and about this due process.
So that's the question the Supreme Court would have to answer. Was there due process accorded Councillor Kofa when the 45 members who said they had additional 5 names that had signed before decided to vote to remove him? The complaint they had against him was he given chance to address it. Was it enough for them to say to serve his office, and the office rejected that? And on such a rejection, was that enough for them to proceed to vote to remove me? Is that what due process is all about? Due process is giving, it is the principle of law that says that the accused must be heard before he or she is convicted. Was Councillor Kofa heard? The Supreme Court decided that. Now, in terms of the precedent, the Supreme Court ruled at the time for Mr. Snow and said that his removal was improper. And I think the court also ruled for Honorable Tyler and said that the removal was also improper. But I say this is a political theater in that. If you follow this case, you find that the executive has taken clearly a side. Clearly, the executive has taken a side. The executive have been writing Speaker Kofa, addressing documentation to him as the Speaker of the House. 2 letters went out. One of them was addressed to the clerk or deputy clerk of the House. The last one. Then that was to suspend the presentation of the budget because the president said he needed to do some legal consultation. And then the draft budget was presented to the majority bloc, to the deputy speaker. And being a political theater, the president may have thought that if those are advised the president, I've thought that had President Boakai presented the budget to the Kofa team, Councillor Kofa, the speaker, and his supporters, nothing concrete was going to happen because they could not get the fulfillment of Article 33, which talks about simple majority, and that they were going to adjoin. So if you follow almost the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf time, all President Sirleaf did was to pressurize the speaker who did not want to resign by doing things that looked like the executive was in favor of what was happening. If you follow Mr. Nangbe, Mr. Kun, Richard Nangbe Kun, has been accorded many other benefits that you can accord a speaker. His security detail has been highly informed. I understand he has a new vehicle now as a speaker. And behind the house, privately, the president had congratulated him. And that they are taking upon themselves and rating the central bank. Before this very quote-unquote majority black executive ministers within the black government appeared before them and stated, Mo Ali appeared, the Minister of Internal Affairs appeared also. So the executive have been walking the line of, we don't want Kofa anymore, whether you like it or not, but that's what the executive have been doing, with the budget currently in the hands of the majority. So the Supreme Court may rule by precedent and say that the removal of Councillor Kofa and the dissolution of the committee were unconstitutional. So what? So they will, all of these guys who are there for their interests will return and they will migrate to the majority black day by day. That's what they will do until they can get the 49. Would they not still remove Councillor Kofa? They will remove him because they have personal interests that they wish to resolve. Would they win? Yes. Snow won, so what? Snow was left as speaker. No, Snow resigned. Tyler won, so what? Tyler resigned. And I'm hearing now that Councillor Kofa will resign.
No, he will not resign.
Can I come in, please, sir?
Yeah, Robert.
Thank you. I'm dying to come in because, by the way, our councillor, welcome to the closing argument. It's great to have you on. And I've been following this show, and I'm not a legal expert. You are the legal expert. So I won't attempt to challenge you on the legality of the interpretation of the Constitution. But based on what I understand, you said something that I thought was profound, and I will start there. You said that the executive have clearly taken a side, but you didn't say which side that was. But let me just say, because we all know which side the executive.
I mean the majority. So that's not secret majority. Okay,
so I want to just re-emphasize that side. The executive have taken, from all indication, the lawless side. They've taken the unconstitutional side. They've taken the disjointed side. That's the side they've taken. And as a lawyer, and I like to believe as a man who is a law-abiding citizen, I'm sure you understand that side is not the right side. And so I want to focus on the right side. You talked about also, you said this whole budget not being given to the Kofa block is based on this notion that the executive understands that nothing can become of the budget if it was delivered to the Kofa block because he doesn't have the number, right? Other than adjoin. Any legal argument that conflicts or political narrative for me is worrisome. It doesn't matter from our perspective what becomes of the budget. What matters is doing the right thing. The right thing to do is to follow the procedure and the processes when it comes to budget submission. And you rightly stated that they have recently communicated and addressed the speaker. And so whether or not the speaker does not have the quorum to get the budget on the floor and get it debated and whatever process that they do with it does not justify the fact that the living body of the speaker is available. He is at his office. The executive understands the process in which budgets are submitted. And if you're a lawyer, you would agree that is submitted to the presiding officer, and by law, the presiding officer is not the deputy chief clerk. The presiding officer is the Speaker of the House of Representatives. So that budget should have been delivered to the Speaker in person, like they did the 2024 budget, but they refused to do it, and they did that deliberately, right? But I want to ask you this question. And the question I want to ask you, I want you to just be very clear with this. I don't think Kofa will resign, and I don't think Kofa should resign. And I don't think, from all indications, I don't think Kofa contention here is whether or not he remains speaker. And for those of us who support the law, our contention is not whether or not Kofa remains speaker. It's about respecting the rule of law in our country. It's about respecting processes, rules, and procedures. It's about respecting the Constitution of our country. And so I want you to disregard your personal opinion and speak to the law. And here is what I want to ask you. I've heard you're a very fair man, by the way. Okay, so I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Do you think that the so-called majority bloc have done everything according to the law? And if they have not done everything in removing the speaker, the removal of the speaker is not illegal. We all understand that. What we frown on is the process in which they've done so. So do you think that they've done everything in accordance to the law, the Constitution, and their own rules and procedures? And if so, would you encourage Kofa to resign under the circumstances of an unconstitutional attempt to remove him and subsequently bully him into resigning like they did with Speaker Snow and Speaker Tomalin? What do you think about that with regards to the law?
So first, let me address the issue that I never said that the executive is correct by transmitting the budget to the clerk. I never supported that. I only saying what the executive thought and what they are thinking and what the executive did. Sam Stikweya wrote a letter to the clerk to ask for an extension when Honorable Smoke Kupi died. The speaker was addressed. So there were two letters that went out there. The first one was the Smoke Kupi death and how the executive addressed it. The second is a letter that the executive, understanding politically what was happening, decided that they were going to address the clerk and submit the budget or to the majority bloc. Now, whether the majority bloc acted consistent with the rule of law or whether the action of the majority bloc conforms to that of the Constitution provision, that is what the Supreme Court will have to answer. The Supreme Court will address that, and I wouldn't preempt the court as to how it will address that.
But what if he was on the bench? What will be your contribution? You're a lawyer. I want you to speak to regards to the law. What would you support?
Let me tell you what. Let me even go further and tell you why the Minister of Justice were invited. The Minister of Justice were invited because under conditions of this nature, the minister is required to defend the law, not the party. As far as the law is concerned, the removal of the speaker will have to conform with Article 49 of the Constitution of Liberia. That is the two-third majority, which would be the 49 members out of the 73, voting to having a resolution that raises the issue of cost to remove the speaker. Do I think that the quote-unquote majority could coerce the other 5 members who signed and later on said that they were no longer signing, they didn't no longer support the process of removal of Councillor Kofa? Do I think that they proceeded legally by having to appear before a justice of the peace and signing an affidavit and said their signature was no longer or could no longer be counted? I would legally tell you, say no. If the rule provides that they appear before the body and did that, recuse themselves, appearing before a justice of the peace and notarizing a documentation that indicate that they no longer supported the non-COFA group was not properly done. But can the Supreme Court, would the Supreme Court consider a notarized document alone to constitute an actual decline or rejection of an action that had been taken? The Supreme Court have the answer to that. I know as a lawyer that when you appear before a justice of the peace, you go to verify a petition that you wish to file. When a justice of the peace allow you to sign, the justice of the peace sign while you are there, that document must be filed before a court. You don't have it signed and returned to a law office and hoping that it can take an effect without filing it before the court. That's what is referred to as verification. What they were doing constituted verification. Was that enough, or were they supposed to file that same notarized documentation before the House? What's the other branch you talk about? What it was before Speaker Kofa, where they were they to file such a document? I would say legally they should have done that. And if they did not do so, could their signature and the document they signed constitute a binding instrument against them? My answer legally will be yes.
Okay.
Would the Supreme Court think that way? That's another thing the Supreme Court have to think on, because look, I as a person will think that what led to these people to sign? Who coerced them? Men and women. Who coerced them to have signed? Why were they signing?
So I find it rather interesting, and this will be my last question, and then Ben can comment. But I find it very interesting though that the Supreme Court will have to decide on these 5 law representatives saying, you know what, I no longer want my name on this list, right? When in fact, the resolution, as per the Constitution and 10.1 of the legislative rule, does not say that a resolution can select a new speaker. The resolution cannot automatically select a new speaker. The resolution is an initiative or the beginning process that start the cost that they talk about. The speaker can be removed by a cause. That resolution initiates that cause. So even if 50 lawmakers were to sign that resolution that initiates the cause, one will concur that they would then have to take that cause to plenary and start the process of due process process. And so the fact that we're talking about the Supreme Court making a judgment on a process that within itself is unconstitutional, that the Supreme Court will rule on the fact that you have few lawmakers who now have said, you know what, my name is not on it. I don't want to be a part of this no more. And they're going through all of this legal process and disregarding the entire process that got the so-called selected as speaker. It blows my mind. And so again, I will give you the opportunity here. Look, from a layman perspective, I think this is all bluff. As far as I know, legally and constitutionally, we have one speaker in the Republic of Liberia right now, and that's Speaker Kofa. Period.
Absolutely.
Period. But the fact that we're having these legal arguments and we're talking about the Supreme Court, I don't expect the Supreme Court to rule on anything contrary to the law. But don't you think this is all an oxymoron when we're talking about the legal process that these 5 lawmakers should have gone through, and getting the fact that on a constitutional process.
You need to mute yourself.
I should have a representative on the line from the Kofa block.
And negating the fact that this whole process that got the so-called Coon as the new speaker is unconstitutional. So I don't want you to focus on what the Supreme Court will say because you're not on the bench. I want you, for the benefit of the audience and the listening audience, I want you to give your legal perspective, not your opinion, your legal perspective on whether or not this process of the so-called majority bloc is considered unconstitutional, illegal, and they have disrespected their own rules and procedure. I just want to hear your opinion on that as a lawyer.
So I don't represent either bloc.
No, just give me your opinion.
So I wouldn't advise either. I would say that considering the rule and considering, if you go back to Article 49 of the Constitution, it says once every 6 years, the House is by law allowed to elect Speaker, Deputy Speaker, other officers of the House. For cause, it went for the for cause by a resolution of 2/3 majority.
But that resolution is not an election.
No, wait, I'm still stating the law.
That's exactly what happened.
The law says for cause. The 2/3 majority of the House may remove the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, and those who are elected. Now, the question is, did the majority get the 2/3 majority out of the 73? Did they get 49? They said they got 50. And I am saying that agreeing with they having 50 will have to do with the 5 people who signed, who went and notarized the documentation and said, we no longer belong there, we are out. A verification of a legal document before a gesture of the peace alone doesn't make that document effective until it is filed at a court of competent jurisdiction or at an administrative agency or before the House. If I sit on the bench, this is how we do.
1 second.
So who come in?
All right, guys, we have Representative Jacob Dewey on the line from Morovia. Representative, welcome.
Thank you so much.
We also have Councilor Frederick Jaywa here as well, trying to help us understand what happened today. Can you just share with us what your bloc is learning from the hearing today, or what your bloc got from the hearing today?
So our issue is purely constitutional, and we're trying to protect the Constitution of Liberia, while our police are trying to take us back to the dark days. And it's a bit our imagination to see a learned councillor like Van Shema, who at one point defended one of those representatives, one of those speakers, who was forcibly removed from a position. Van Shema and Councillor Sperman defended former Speaker Snow when he was being removed illegally. On the same basis, he was in a court at the Supreme Court, pleading that the removal of his client was illegal. Today, Van Shema is in a court and telling the court that this thing is not a legal matter, it's a political matter. I don't understand how those of our elder brothers, those who have been leading the charge in this country, will, blindfolded, because of some personal reasons, want to put us back into the dark days. Our councillor, the lead councillor, Councillor Arthur Johnson, today represented us and represented this country, quoting various articles You heard, if you follow the case today, Vani Sharma had no article quoted. All he was saying was, it's a political case, the Supreme Court should not hear it. Articles 33, 49, 28 were our reliance. Besides that, we have our rules that talks about due process. Who is the presiding officer of the House of Representatives? Is the Speaker of the House. He is the one that is elected once every 6 years. He presides.
So, Honorable,
yes.
Honorable, so what are you guys going to do from the Kofa block?
We are waiting for the ruling from the Supreme Court. Once the Supreme Court rules and say what they did is illegal, they should go back to status quo. Nobody's going to allow those people to go and have session. We will make sure that Liberia is governed by laws. We will ensure that nobody violates our constitution. And what they're doing is treasonous. They are undermining our constitution. They are forcing themselves into power. Look at what they did. It's so shameful. They camp themselves off in one building, in one room called the Joint Chamber, according to them, remove his speakers, and immediately elected someone to become speaker. Our rules say when even if a speaker is removed, it's within 60 days that a new speaker is elected. But what did they? Because they want to hijack our country, they want to corrupt and enrich themselves at the detriment of our people. They did what they did. We can't allow that to happen. This country is a country of laws, and we must protect the rights of our unborn generations. We're not going to go back to the dark days. We'll ensure that if they want to remove the speaker, they have to come back to the joint chamber, to our chamber, and let's have the normal proceeding. Put your case on the floor. The speaker recuses himself as he has agreed to do, and let's hear it. It goes through the rules and order, and let's hear the case. Finish. As simple as it is.
All right.
They think they have the majority.
All right. Anybody?
They can do it. Wow, they didn't follow the laws.
All right. Well, I don't have a question. I just want.
Anybody got a question here for the representative before we go back to the councillor?
No, I don't think there's a question.
Okay. All right, councillor, we'll call you back.
So, I just
We'll
want
call you back, sir. Thank you.
I think Councillor Jawed spoke, so he responded to Robert, and then I think is it my time, right? Or
yeah.
Thank you, Peabody. Councillor Jawed, it's good to see you, and thank you for appearing. Thank you for your service to the country also over the last period. You're an astute lawyer. A couple of things that I'm a little concerned and confused about. It has to do with there is the constitutionality of this process, and then there's also their rules. They are governed by their rules also, even though their rules do not supersede the Constitution, but they are also governed by their rules. I think Robert was trying to point to the direction of the resolution that was signed, right? And I think people can go back and forth with whether the resolution is legal or not, because there's also the argument of the initial resolution that 43 people signed only called for the removal. The second resolution that, according to them, was passed on whatever the day was, says the removal and the dissolution of the committees, meaning there was a whole new resolution. But that's not what I'm interested in. I don't think the Supreme Court is even going to worry about the intricacies or the little bits and pieces of what it is. They're going to look at it from a holistic standpoint. My question to you has to come from the issue of precedence and what this could mean for the country, right? I understand the politics. I understand, and this is not, and I think everybody continues to say that this is not about Fonati Kofa. This is about setting a precedent in the country. The reason why it wasn't set in the past was because the two other speakers that were in question here exercised their right to resign. So there was no way, if the person said to resign, there's no way you can come back and say, you know what, no, stay there. This one is saying, no, he's not going to resign. This one is saying, I'm going to only leave if you do it the way how it is enshrined within the law and within our rules, right? So my question to you is, as a lawyer, don't you think it is, and I understand what you said, that you're not an advocate for anyone, but I'm trying to get you from a legal perspective, right? Don't you think that this sets a bad precedent, right? Say the Supreme Court, let's leapfrog, and the Supreme Court rules and say what the 42 or 43, I mean, the numbers are just all over the place. So the majority black, the quote unquote majority black has done, they haven't done it within the law. They haven't given the let's say the COFA side win, just for that, hypothetical. And then they still are intransigent and saying, you know what, we're still not going to go under his gavel. What precedent do you think that sets for the country? Don't you think that's a recipe for disaster? Because the Supreme Court should be the final arbiter of the law of the land. And regardless of the fact whether we agree with the Supreme Court, we are duty bound to respect their opinion. It's the same thing that happened in this country. Democrats were not happy when the Supreme Court gave the election to George Bush. But like Al Gore said, I disagree with the Supreme Court ruling, but I respect it. Don't you think they should be duty bound to obey or to respect the ruling of the Supreme Court and revert to status quo ante?
I would have thought that, and if I'm part of this matter from starting, if I'm one of the lawyers for the COFA team, we would not have started all over the place. We would not have started with a prohibition. And then when the prohibition is denied, then we say, oh, okay, maybe mandamus as a proceeding will suffice. And then either, we're going to look at the constitutionality and unconstitutionality. We were proceeded by working with the Ministry of Justice to file a petition for a writ of quo warranto. What that writ does is, and what it means is that the writ questions the authority of the quote-unquote majority black to have sat in a joint chamber and conduct themselves. But alone, Councillor Kofa and his team could not have filed a petition for that writ. They would have worked with the Minister of Justice because the civil procedure law on that provides that the Minister of Justice, in conjunction with the litigant, will file a quo warranto to question by which, that raised specifically a question, by which authority, what authority are you sitting and conducting yourselves in the absence of a speaker, in the absence of you sitting in the customary hall that you were supposed to be sitting. I thought that was a legal blunder. I thought that they proceeded by hunting. And so they got the kind of result that they got from the justice in chambers. Now, if the Supreme Court should rule and say that the majority black proceeded illegally and unconstitutionally, and so they should return to status quo ante, it would be a better optic. It would be a better way to proceed by returning to where they were before the election of Mr. Nangwe, Representative Nangwe. And if they have the numbers, as they claim they said, then, and they have their costs, then they should follow Article 49, understanding that the Supreme Court is the highest court of the land, and proceed accordingly, meaning proceed by saying, okay, we're going to get 49 people. And okay, we're going to have a resolution that raises costs. And we will proceed to remove Councillor Kofa, because then we'll be having the majority, two-third majority to remove him. I don't think it makes sense. And if you ask me whether I thought the people who advised the executive to proceed by writing the clerk was a proper thing to do, I would tell you no. If you were to ask me whether the submission and the transmission of the budget to the quote-unquote majority black, when the speaker exists and is fully alert and available to be able to conduct his duty, I would think that it was more of the executive were more political than customary and legal.
So, Councilor, I want to interject something quickly, and this is my second thing, and then the rest of the guys can come in. Two things happen, right? You also have seen, and this is what I think has happened. The executive, and I agree with you, I think the president first wrote the speaker, addressed him for Nati Kofa, Speaker of the House of Representatives, right? And then his chief of staff, his acting chief of staff, wrote the clerk. Then the president, in submitting the budget, wrote the presiding officer. His letter was addressed to the presiding officer, not to the chief clerk. They proceeded and went through the regular channel, right? Submit the budget with that letter to the office of the chief clerk. The chief clerk is not in country because, according to what we know, is that she's sick. So the deputy chief clerk is the one who receives it. Well, we also know that the deputy chief clerk and some other members of the secretariat are with the majority bloc. So they proceeded to take the budget to them. It's exactly the same thing that the Senate did in the beginning, but they now have corrected. Because what ended up happening was the Senate was, the Secretary of the Senate was transmitting bills through the regular channel from his office to the chief clerk office. The deputy chief clerk would then take those bills and go to the majority bloc, and you will see on the agenda, what is it mean? You will see on the agenda, it's, communication from the Senate or something like that, right? What the Senate has done, right, has said, okay, because just by the Senate action, it says that they don't recognize what they're doing. Just by them saying that we're not going to submit any more communications because they provided the clarity, both Senator Dillon and I think Senator Sir Joseph provided the clarity because they had a leadership meeting to say that they were only submitting it through the regular channel, but they now figure out that there is an issue. The deputy chief clerk is the one taking their documents, taking their bills and to do, and they're fully cognizant of the fact that nothing that happens in that joint chamber is legal, even the budget. So even if the majority bloc decides tomorrow that they're going to pass that budget, where are they going to send it for concurrence? When the Senate has said that we're not going to deal with you until this issue is resolved. I bring that up to say that it could potentially be the same route. Maybe you may see something happening regarding to the executive. They may say, oh, you know what, we send it to the chief clerk. The deputy chief clerk went and took it to them. I ask you because the reason I asked you about the constitutionality issue was because I said I was looking at the issue of precedent and what this could mean for the larger government, right? Because clearly the government is potentially about to shut down pending this response from the Supreme Court. And if the Supreme Court rules and say you have proceeded unconstitutionally, constitutional way, and they still are intransigent, what do you think happens to the country? And Kofa say, I'm not resigning. What do you think happens at that point? What do you think happens?
So the majority will fight to
mind you, the Senate is not working with them though. Let's keep that. Yeah,
they are at 45. They could return to status quo antique. They could recruit members. One thing that all of us are Liberians should understand is that both, and it is my view, that both the Senate and the House, maybe you can even add the executive, may not even be working in the interest of the Liberian people. They are much more concerned. Listen, what if you follow the drama, when the speaker was quote unquote removed, There were appointees on committees. There were people, there were representatives running away from non-financial committees to committee where they thought that money would come from. Are those people serious? Are we saying that the president from the executive does not know that there exists chaos in the House? Are we believing that the president would ask Ansu Sirleaf to write to the clerk without, since nobody in that White House or in the mansion that will write something that Joseph Boakai doesn't?
I agree with you 100%. I agree.
So Ansu Sirleaf, acting as acting Minister of State, wrote the clerk. Why were they doing that? Were they testing the interest and conformity of the Liberian people, or were they testing to see whether or not working with the majority will be fine? Being that people in both houses are much more concerned with what they get to benefit them as an interest, they will find means to up to the 50 they're looking for. Do you know where are they staying? Where are the representatives, the majority blacks staying? In the hotel. Who is paying the nightly bill in that hotel for them? Somebody who has money, who has political interest, is paying. Who bought the brand new vehicle for quote unquote Speaker Kun, Richard Nangbe Kun? Somebody who has interest, somebody who think that this is how it should proceed. And whether you and myself like it or not, the Supreme Court rule, they can return to status quo ante. So what? People who will receive $60,000 and form party to the majority will go there. They say over 15,000. They say it was supposed to be 25,000. They were going around sharing the money. You think the guy ain't interested in how Liberia move? No, they don't. So what Mr. Boakai, President Boakai may be looking at the means of ensuring that his government runs. And when people go on the other side, yeah, they will go there.
Come here, I can come here. Okay.
Yes, Salamadu, you want to come in? Salamadu? Okay, let me just put this question quickly. But Councillor J. Okay.
No, I'm sorry. Hi, Ben.
Oh, well.
Hey.
There are two beds here, so they can be good looking.
Oh, Ben,
No, sorry. Hi, that talking to my children. Yeah, I already said hi to the other Ben, the high blood pressure.
Come on, Ben. I don't know.
You got questions, Salamadu?
Actually, I don't. I think I'm just more confused than I was in the beginning.
The question is that we thought when they said I'm going to talk about three branches of government, okay? But the Supreme Court, which has the judicial branch, they are there to interpret the law.
Mm-hmm.
But if they would just rule and say, well, okay, the speaker, the issue of removing the speaker, you're proceeding the wrong way, and they say, yeah, so what? And then they go back and say they don't care. They don't care what the Supreme Court says. Then what kind of country we have? Because I thought whatever they say should be the final, and people should uphold the law. But if they were ruled in favor of the speaker, and then the so-called majority of blacks say, well, we don't care, so what? And then what kind of country we have? Do you think there's a room for people, the citizen getting involved and take matters in the hand?
Point of information, Tomalin and Councillor. I just want to, before he come in, while he come in, so just say, yesterday I heard Representative Musa Bealded saying that if the Supreme Court rules, and this was a hypothetical, right? That if the Supreme Court rules that everything that the majority has done is constitutionally sound and that it's okay, they have a new speaker who enriches Pong, and everything they did, Kofa, blah, blah. I heard him say yesterday that he guarantees that within 30 days, there will be another coup in the House. Because it will have set the precedent to say And you know, the House is a political theater. They will never agree. There will never be a time where they will all agree. There will come a time where a block will form, and somebody will say, I won't let it in Richard Kun doing if he is the speaker, right? And Musa then, according to what he said, and he's on record, it was on a public radio, he said it. He said, if I would lead it, I would take our 29 and we'll go sit down in another chamber and the business will not go on too. So the reason, that's what I'm saying, I think we are treading on dangerous grounds here. And the reason I believe we are treading on dangerous grounds is because whether we like it or not, there's a reason why we have speed limits on interstates.
We don't have any in Liberia.
Eh?
There are no speed limit in Liberia.
Well, no. I'm using an analogy, right? I agree.
There is speed limit in Liberia, but
we don't follow it. We don't follow it, right? It's the same thing, right? It's the same thing. But like I said, there's a reason we got speed limits on interstates here. It's not that because our cars cannot drive 120 miles per hour on those roads. In fact, you are even more enticed to do 120 miles per hour because of how good the roads are and how wide the roads are. But you know that if you go more than the speed limit or more than the legally thing that is to do, you will either get a ticket. If you keep doing it, your license will be revoked. So that's what I'm saying. We are treading on dangerous path because we could potentially be looking at a government shutdown, a national legislature that is non-functional. And like Tomalin said, it could be the recipe. And that is the reason why when ECOWAS came, they were taking it for joke, because most of the problems in the region that ended up in military coups happened because of constitutional violations and legislative misunderstandings, right? So I'm just saying, I was just trying to provide that information that this is what one of the leaders on the other side is saying, that he knows that he can get about 7 of the other people on the other side, and in a month, whoever the speaker is will be facing another mutiny because the Supreme Court would have validated their action. So nothing stops them from doing the same thing.
I don't know what the Supreme Court will say.
Yeah.
And I'm not advising when the Supreme Court rule, the majority should go say, we will remain in our own chambers, we'll continue. But I listened to Musa yesterday, Representative Bealded yesterday, or when they had a show on Spoon Talk. And I saw how energized he was. But in Liberia, you can only speak for yourself. Even your wife in the house, you don't know when she go to the market what she does. Liberia is a country where people, particularly government officials, are interested in finances than what the law says or does. So they can accept the Supreme Court opinion that Councillor Fonati Kofa and her group were illegally removed, and they can return to the normal setting. Politics has to do with numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Would the quote-unquote majority black get the 50 to remove Councillor Fonati Kofa? They might not. As a lawyer, I'm saying that I would not even allow my client myself to go through all of these steps when the actual process to have followed was a co-warrantor petition. One junior lawyer wrote to me and said, Councillor, I understand that the Minister of Justice must be involved. I said, yeah, I agree. I didn't say Minister of Justice will not be involved. But you work with the Minister of Justice to have co-warrantor to question the constitutionality of the setting. Did they do that? No. What were they doing? They were hunting. Let's try prohibition. If it works, that's okay. Let's try mandamus. While mandamus is pending, maybe it doesn't look strong enough. Let's question the constitutionality of what occurring. What stopped them from filing a petition for a writ of co-warrantor? Co-warrantor asks you by what authority are you operating?
But Councillor, you said it. But it's according to what we hear that the Justice Ministry said they want to do anything with this thing, right?
No, the Ministry of Justice let me tell you what the issue is.
Okay.
Councillor Pewee is a member of the Pewee and Pierre Law Office. Councillor Jimmy E. Pierre, is also a counsel in this matter. Councillor Pierre, Ursula Pewee rather said that in order to not be considered as being contaminated or compromised, I would prefer from the Pierre, even though I'm no longer in our law office, but I'm working as a Minister of Justice, I would prefer to remain out.
Oh.
The Solicitor General appeared in court along with Councillor Garguah, I think Jared Garguah appeared to argue for the court. They were invited because the Supreme Court, not to be on any side, the Supreme Court wanted to see how well they would defend the law. Where the issue of constitutionality is raised, the Minister of Justice will be summoned by the Supreme Court or mandated by the Supreme Court to file a separate brief and state its honest, not on either side, to state its understanding of what the law is. So that's how. And then I understand the two lawyers who argue for the Justice Ministry also said that, well, this is a political matter, and so the Supreme Court should excuse them. I thought the Minister of Justice had taken side based upon what Augustine Fire, Councillor Augustine Fire, Solicitor General has said before the court.
All right, so I'm going to speak as a nurse. If something happened to some kind of a patient and there was a legal issue, because I've been to court before, and I was asked to come and give my opinion on that matter, as a nurse, I will state the facts how they are. I'm leaving the case. I don't have to deal with the case unless I'm asked to. But let's say because that thing is in court, I can still come and give my legal opinion on that issue. So I think what I actually, like for me, what I actually want for the seasoned lawyer to do is to state his opinion on this issue. You don't have to test the case because the case is in court. We understand. Looking at the laws, what would you have done to this issue? That's why, because when I see you talking about let's see if they would get it, if they would get 50 or they would get 10, that is why the politicians will be thinking. Those are the politicians' thought. Would they get 50? Would they not get 50? But the legal, as of the people who are in the legal space, should speak exactly to the law. What does the law state when a speaker is to be removed? So these are the things that we want to listen to you to learn. So you tell us as we listen.
I just said that if I wanted the lawyers representing Councillor Kofa, we would not have proceeded the way they proceeded. I would not at one point initiate a prohibition proceedings, and while that is pending before the court or rejected by the court, then I restate the facts and file for a mandamus proceeding. And then later on down the road, I will proceed to ask for the court to interpret the constitutionality of the action. No, I wouldn't have done any of those. I would have worked with the Minister of Justice to file a petition for co-warrantor. That's the appropriate rate. That rate questions the majority of blacks sitting in the joint chambers. Again, I'm not saying they are sitting there is constitutional. All I'm saying is that when you do try and error with the law and the justice rule against you, you are bound by such a ruling. So you better be able to ensure that you know what proceeding you are pursuing and asking this, because it's not a play to play. When you go before the Supreme Court, life and interests of people's property are at stake. You either defend it well, or they will lose their lives, or they lose their property. Now that we are where we are, I am saying all of these, the Madama proceeding, which is supposed to compel you. You know what the Madama they're asking for? What they're asking for is to compel the majority black to go and sit under the gavel of Councillor Kofa. And in addition to that, to interpret whether the removal of Councillor Kofa and the committee heads constitute a constitutional process of law. The Supreme Court will be, maybe the Supreme Court, I mean, I'm sure the Supreme Court are not asked for argument, they argue already. The matter will be consolidated. Because I don't represent either of them, I will give no opinion. I wouldn't say the Kofa branch proceeded wrongly when it started. And now they are all over the place.
Okay, but can I ask you a question, Councillor? What yeah. You said the Kofa team proceeded wrongly, so you've given an opinion on that. What do you think the other side have done? What do you think the other side have done wrong? Do you think they should be, knowing what you know as a lawyer, knowing the Constitution, knowing the rules, do you think they should be doing what they're doing? Is it the right path? Even the election of a quote unquote speaker, right? Is this the way we elect speakers in Liberia? Do they, I mean, from every time I know that we elect speakers, it's a sitting, it's on the agenda. We see people go and they do a ballot. They put a ballot in the ballot box. We hear the chief clerk or the deputy chief clerk call out in fact, there's the famous thing where they call out, when they read each ballot, Councillor Jewett, 1 vote, this person 1 vote, and then until they reach to that point, right? We didn't see any of those things happen. None of those things happen. In fact, what we saw was boom, oh yeah, resolution 50, blah, blah, blah. Thomas Fala said, oh yeah, okay, let's swear in Richard Coon. I mean, so is that your opinion as a lawyer, is that the right way to do it?
So again, as I said, if I on the other end, the majority of black would not have even sat in the
joint chamber,
because I would have proceeded by co-warrantor.
Exactly. Okay.
I would have gone directly before. Look, let me tell you something. When you go before you know who is a justice in chambers? The Supreme Court has 5 justices. Every sitting, the Chief Justice nominates one of the justices to sit. He's an intermediate judge between the Supreme Court and the full bench, between the full bench and the court staff. So when you gave room, all the Kofa brain group did, they gave room to the majority to continue to sit to where they were sitting. A co-warrantor is a petition before the full bench, not before a justice in chambers. Not as Madamos is before a justice in chambers. When a decision is made from that, then the matter must travel to the Supreme Court. Whereas the Supreme Court will gain original jurisdiction when a co-warrantor is filed. All the justices will have to sit and decide. That way, a state order from the full bench will have gone down there a long time ago.
Well, but who said it was obeyed?
Let me come in for a second. Let me come in for a second. So, Salamato, you have a question before I come in?
No, 1 second. So why those guys have argued that they were sitting based on the doctrine of separation? The doctrine of separation. Right.
So the Supreme Court will have to decide. So the Supreme Court will then decide, we have to decide whether it's by the issuance of a writ of co-warrantor that brought the matter before the full bench, whether the court was interfering or not. So the court will have a final decision as to say, you're sitting in a joint chamber is in violation of the Constitution. Do I believe that sitting in a joint chamber is a violation of the Constitution? Yes, I believe that. Do I believe that proceeding will follow? No, I don't.
So let me. This will be my last comment to you, and I don't say that. I said it was with all due respect, sir. But I was really excited when you came on because I wanted to have some education specifically about the law, and it seems like you're unwilling to give your opinion, your legal opinion on.
Should I write my bill and send it to you?
Well, please do. I mean, if that's what is needed, I mean, at least in the benefit of the audience, at least we would have heard something. Because I'm not happy with what I'm hearing, to be honest with you, because again, we are the novice when it comes to the law. We don't understand the law, but we can read and write. We can comprehend when we read, right? And so I want to put this to you. You mentioned Article 49 of the Liberian Constitution, okay? And you talked about 49 that says, the speaker shall be removed by a cause. All right. And so I want to read this to you. Article 49 of the Liberian Constitution mandates that the House of Representatives shall elect once every 6 years a speaker who shall serve as the presiding officer of the body, a deputy speaker, and such other officers necessary for the proper functioning of the House. The speaker, deputy, and other elected officials may be removed. And I want to emphasize the word may, because the framers of our Constitution, I believe, were wise men outside the fact that they had legal wisdom, right? May be removed from office for cause through a resolution passed by a 2/3 majority of the House members. Okay? May be removed by a cause. And so I want to, when you have not said, or you have not offered your legal opinion on whether or not the cause and the signature of 50 lawmakers, okay, to have this resolution to remove the speaker is the initiate process, the initiate due process, or is one that automatically elect a new speaker. And so maybe I'll let you think about it and let us know later. But Rule 10.1 of the House Rules states, when the office of the speaker becomes vacant due to removal, death, resignation, inability, or other disability, the deputy speaker shall act as speaker until a new speaker is not selected, is elected within 60 days. When the speaker is absent from a session, the deputy speaker shall act in accordance with rules 8.1 and 8.2. And I also want you to maybe for the last time tell us, per what I just read, have there been a vacancy in the House of Representatives? As far as I'm concerned, there have been no vacancy in the House of Representatives, sir. In order to have a new speaker, as per the rules stated, you have to have a vacancy. And when the removal takes place, the deputy speaker acts as acting speaker pending an election within 60 days. I'm not making this up. This is what the rule says. 8.1 and 8.2 says, in the absence of both the speaker and deputy speaker, a member of the House, as elected, not selected, but the House for that purpose, shall preside. Such a member shall be known as a speaker pro tempore. Have the speaker pro tempore acted in the absence of both the speaker or the deputy speaker? For instance, if there's a conflict within the House of Representatives and the Senate or the executive feel as though they cannot legally work with both of these men, I'm just making this up. If both of these men were to accuse themselves, who would they then present a budget to? Wouldn't that person be the speaker pro tem based on the 8.1 and 8.2 of their own rules? I didn't make this up. This is what it says. One last point I want to make is this. This outstanding rule number 10 grants exclusive power to preside over session to the speaker. That speaker is not the deputy chief clerk. That speaker is not the chief clerk. That speaker is not the one who was selected through a resolution. That speaker is what 49 says. Every 6 years they shall gather to elect a presiding officer. That speaker is for Nati Kofa. So if their rules and the Constitution grants exclusive power to the presiding officer to preside over sessions, then, my friend, I want to ask you again for the benefit of our listening audience and myself who don't understand the law, we just read the law, we try to understand and apply common sense. Where we are today, do you think it's because of COFA's actions? Or do you think it's because of the inability of lawmakers who should be an exemplary of the law, upholding rules and laws? Do you think it's because of their inability to follow the procedure, the Constitution, and their own rules when it comes to the removal of a speaker? We will not be where we are today if this guy was simply say we have 50 signatures. Now it's time to go to the main chambers, put the resolution on the floor, present it to plenary. The speaker has offered to recuse himself, and can then allow him due process. After due process, you respond to your resolution, your cause, then you start your election. If you got the 50, they elect Con as speaker or whoever else, and Kofa go back as a regular floor member. We will not be where we are today if those lawmakers respected their own rules, if those lawmakers respected the Constitution, and if they acted and conducted themselves in accordance to what is sworn to uphold. So again, I want to ask you a simple question as a lawyer. Do you think we are where we are today because of COFA's actions? Or do you think we are where we are today because of the actions of these lawmakers who have blatantly disrespected and disregarded the laws?
So there are several things you said, and I'd like to pick them apart. You spoke about the resolution and due process, and that a resolution is the initiation of a process to remove the speaker. Article 49 doesn't say that. Article 49 of the Constitution states very clearly, for cause and by a resolution of 2/3 of members of the House, the Speaker by 49 vote can be removed. So it's not an initiation process.
You said 49 votes. That's I want to just, you said 49 votes.
Yes.
It's a resolution. It's a resolution, a vote to remove the speaker of the House.
So
of Representatives.
if you read Article 49, it says for cause by a resolution to 2/3 majority, the speaker may be removed. They may choose to call a roll, and the 49 say present, or they may choose to say yea or nay, and the speaker is removed.
No, that's not what happened. The rules.
You guys gonna let him talk, or you guys gonna?
No, you just me on. You want me to control us? What's your problem?
No, I'm not controlling you, but you either run for you. Let him land. Let him land.
You're not the moderator.
No, I'm not. But you not argue, but let him land.
Councillor, information. They have rules, and I think the rules that they adapted for this sitting, it states that it's in their rules. Every sitting, every time they start, every I think this is the 55th, right? 56 will have their own rules, and every time they come, they adopt their rules. From my understanding, the rule says that there should be what is it mean? A due process, right? Where the resolution is submitted, blah blah blah. I just don't do it verbatim, but I know.
But Ben, the rule does not specify due process either.
So due process. It does.
Let me say this.
So let me.
The issue, the Constitution, Article 44 is very simple. That you have two sentences in there. Two sentences. What it would like here, maybe the people who wrote it, they were kind of vague on it. The same issue with the citizenship paragraph in the Constitution. A lot of these things are very vague. Okay, they tell you how the speaker is elected, how long he there for, and what he's supposed to do. Then they come and say how you can remove him or her from there. 2/3 of a vote. Whether it's by yea, whether it's by 2/3. Yeah, 2/3. You do your resolution, it's out. But I do understand what Robert was saying. legislature does have rules.
They have rules that they adopt.
So accompany the Constitution, even though the Constitution is the Bible of our land, but they have rules. And you know, when you started explaining, why the people can't follow the rule, I almost wanted to choke on the water that I drank. That house there, that whole place there, do they look like they can follow rules? You would think, gentlemen, you take the Constitution, you're trying to remove a speaker, you sat down, you wrote rules for procedure on how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to take it to this place. You're supposed to say, you know what, let it here. Okay, we all not agree. Yeah, we not agree. Okay, let a deputy speaker be there until we can vote on it. None of that happened. That should tell the Liberian people, because unfortunately, these are rules. The rules are not law. But these are some of the actions that's supposed to tell the Liberian people. These people either don't know what they're doing or they don't care about you. They're just doing their own thing. And you're supposed to be able to see that that's strictly politics here. I honestly been trying to understand, like, okay, what is the problem? What actually is the problem here?
And before Councillor coming, Salamatu, the problem is very simple. They don't trust that if they go in the chamber, they will have 49 or 50 votes to remove you. That's it. That's why the people they got are what they got in RLJ. Because they don't even trust that if they leave RLJ, that they will go back to session, or they will go to, you know, I saw something yesterday saying that they say they're going to Bassa. And they say, like they're putting all of them in one bus. I mean, I don't understand this. They're putting all of them in one bus. It's like, you not eat our money, you better follow us until we get this thing.
Ben, state the purpose for which they're going to Grand Bassa, though. They're not just going there. State the purpose for which they're going there. It states why they're going to Grand Bassa. It didn't just say they're taking them. It said why they're going.
What does that matter? What does that matter?
Because you're making it seem as though the presence at RLJ is the same as why they're going to Grand Bassa. That is not.
But that's not what I said.
My point here is that is not why they are going to.
No, Lofa, your point. I think you're not following what's going on here.
No, I'm definitely following.
Lofa, again, take a chill pill. Look,
I am chill.
No, take a chill pill and stop interrupting. It's okay. I was only alluding to the fact. I was only alluding to the fact that when one of the reasons that Salamatu asked the question, one of the reasons why they haven't done it the way they're normally supposed to do it. It's simple, because when you even talk to some of them, they know that if they go in there, and that is also the reason Kofa is insisting, because he too know that they would not, if they go into that chamber, they would not get 49 human beings to look in his face and vote against him.
Absolutely.
Because some of them even telling him, that thing was supposed to happen when you were not here. Plain and simple. That is the reality of what we're dealing with. So I agree with you, Councillor Jerry, when you talk about the fact that these people, right, and that's why sometimes I agree with what Cyril Allen said. We tend to call them honorable. I don't think we should call them honorable. It is the House of Representatives that is the honorable house. When you go in there, your conduct determines whether you are called honorable or not, right? So it's just pathetic.
Can the lawyer respond a little bit to what I said, please?
Sorry.
I think Salamatu.
Yeah,
I think Salamatu summarized it. So, Mr.
So you pick up the word "may," and then you also pick up the word "within 60 days," and your presentation is that with a resolution, a 2/3 mean that they should go to section, present the resolution, give the speaker a chance to respond, give him due process in order to be removed. Article 49 doesn't say that. Article 49.
No, but the rule says it.
Yeah, he talking about after the Constitution, he is saying people came up with a rule, a process.
I as a lawyer, am not much concerned with the rules. I'm concerned.
You have to be concerned with the rules.
Not yet.
I'm interested in what does the Constitution say.
Wait, did you just say that?
I said the rule. I'm not much interested in it.
Right, because it's a counselor.
When you're talking about the hierarchy of the law, you're talking about the Constitution, you're
Right.
talking about case law, you're talking about 3 days. All of these, one like Brempico, Yama thing they draw in their offices, those things cannot violate the Constitution.
No, but the Supreme Court clearly cares about the rules, because if they didn't, they would not have instructed them to go back to ensure due process.
Oh no,
the Supreme Court is not just ruling the Constitution.
No way, the Supreme Court.
They're looking at the rules.
You're messing it up. When the Supreme Court issue an order, say return to status quo ante, that's very normal. The Supreme Court is saying we want all of you to hold on to where you are.
Yeah.
Or return to where you were until we can decide. The Supreme Court is not making any decision. If I heard some lawyers saying that, oh, the Supreme Court has made a decision, no, the Supreme Court has not. The argument and the decision for the court is still pending. All I'm saying is that once there is a resolution, that idea of going to plenary, presenting the resolution, then calling roll, obtaining vote, and that's not what the law is.
So how do they elect the new speaker then? Let's assume
let me tell you what it did. What it did was that after they began 45, they went and said, okay, the additional 5 people who signed before were added onto the 45 to get 50. After they did that, they went ahead and then declared the position of the seat of the speaker vacant.
Yeah.
Then they went and elected Richard Nangbe Kum.
How did they do that?
Went and appointed, I'm not saying these are all correct.
No, I agree with him, Robert.
How did they elect him? How did they elect him? Did they elect him, or how did they elect him?
Oh, I'm saying to you what they did. I'm not saying to you what is correct. I'm saying to you, when they declared that the position, the speakership, the seat of the speaker was declared vacant.
Mm-hmm.
Now the law says within 60 days, not after 60 days. Within it can start the same minute that happened.
But Councilor, is that the law or is that the rule of the legislature?
That the speaker should be elected within 60 days?
Yeah.
So the Constitution provides the rule
provides. No, the Constitution, okay, not inside it.
You see? Yeah. So they were following the rule.
The rule provides law. What I'm saying is that I'm much more concerned with what the Constitution says than the rule, because the rule administrative procedures drawn up, regulation drawn up. They could or could not violate the Constitution. So where the Constitution speaks, I will in turn follow the speech of the Constitution, then go into some kind of rule.
But the Constitution does not talk about how do you replace the speaker that you have removed.
Which is why the rules come in place.
Yeah, we agree with you.
Once Article 49 is certified, and the majority declared that it's vacant, the seat of the speaker is vacant, they may choose to say yea or nay or decide to call roll.
That's not a question I'm asking you. Article 49 only talks about 2 things. We finish with it. Mm-hmm. Then I'm moving. They're 2/3 voted. We say, okay, 2/3 now vote.
Mm-hmm.
Now the rule, because you refer to the rule of the legislature as law. When you are replacing the man who you remove by the Constitution of 2/3, is it a rule or is it a law that says you have to let a deputy sit there and you have to elect? Does it say elect or select?
Elect.
Okay. You are telling us these rules are yamayamati and only go by the Supreme Court, the Constitution.
So let me make it clear. Once for the 49, Article 49 is certified, meaning that the consequences leading to the removal is accepted, there is a vacancy at that point. So whether there's a rule or there's no rule, nobody in that seat any longer.
But how did 49 get certified? How did 49 get certified?
No, I didn't say they got 49. I said if they should get 49, and by a full-term majority resolution, stating cause, that the speaker is to be removed, and that 49 is not in dispute at all, then a vacancy has occurred. And so the same people who
whoever highlighting comments, can they stop? Is distracting, man.
then if vacancy has occurred, so the speaker is no more, let's say 49 is certified, the speaker is no more there. So the House will sit and elect a new speaker. Now, I said this, all of this is happening because the KOFA group proceeded wrongly. They decided to start to do try and error situation by looking for prohibition.
But can we also say that it is happening? Like, I think Robert was asking that question. Can we also say it's happening because the other folks have decided that they will do things the way they want to do it? Is that possible?
So those folks are blind by law. So sitting in the joint chambers, if they have been properly challenged, then we will see after a Supreme Court decision that you're sitting in a joint chamber in the absence of Council KOFA with the speaker is illegal. But they are interpreting the way they thought after they won the prohibition in the Supreme Court. They came back and said the Supreme Court did not question what we said. So we'll proceed and conduct the affairs of government, of the legislature. Anthony coming.
Yeah, let's ask a quick question. Very quick. Sir, I need, is there a difference between return to status quo and return to status quo ante?
I think there's a difference.
That's one question. My second question is, if you were a judge in a court and you were conflicted, I'm just giving a scenario now, and you were conflicted, and then your opponent say, you have to recuse yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Does your recuser on that case deny you of ruling of presiding over your court or just that particular case?
So if I recuse myself, let's say I'm judge sitting in the KOFA case. If I recuse myself, I cannot participate in anything that has to do with a particular case. I am still justice in chamber and any other matters.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Anthony, come in now.
So that's all we say. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Counselor, I want to say thank you for your time here. I am not a legal person, and I'm not here to challenge your legal expertise. I just have a concern as a Liberian, and of everything that's been happening. I understand that Liberia is a constitutional democracy, not a parliamentarian democracy. I understand that Liberia is a bicameral form of government, bicameral legislature. I understand those things. However, the rules of the House of Representatives is adapted in every section of the new legislature. On this particular circumstance, I know you continue to focus on Article 49 of the Constitution that speaks about the election of the Speaker, the removal of the Speaker, and the two-thirds majority whatsoever. However, you said also that you are not here to represent either party, but you're also focusing on the fact that Speaker KOFA did not, follow certain procedure in your opinion. However, as it stands today, and I need your legal expertise, you're not playing no party favor here. I just need your legal expertise as it relates to this particular matters. Under these current circumstances that we face today, what is due process?
Is that your question?
Yes. What is due process?
The doctrine of due process is giving a party his day in court, or giving him the opportunity to be able to be represented by a lawyer of his choice, and to fairly receive and defend himself against pieces of evidence that may be presented against him.
Good. And you will agree that due process meaning he has representation. If he could not afford one, a public defender will be appointed for him in that particular case.
Wait, you went too far. You're talking about criminal matter here.
Okay, so let's remove
the
criminal matter. Let's talk about
pay for it.
You're right. Thanks for checking me. So my next question to you is that representation by the legal counsel, they have cross-section of an examination between the two sections. There's the legal counsel representing the majority bloc and the legal counsel representing the minority bloc. Is that correct?
So this is not a general trial proceeding. What you're alluding to is a general trial proceeding. This is a matter where there are four major writs. There's a prohibition, there's a writ of error, there is a mandamus proceedings, and there is a co-warrantor proceeding. Those are the three major writs that the Supreme Court, that you can proceed to the Supreme Court by a petition directly to request the court to issue one of those writs. But you as a lawyer will have to be very careful as to what the facts are and what do you want the Supreme Court to do.
Okay.
If you listen to most lawyers, they will say the court would not do for party litigant that which a litigant has not done for himself.
Correct.
In other words, if you choose the wrong rate, good luck for you.
Okay. So my last question to you, and I'll yield back my time, is you went to law school because you want to do justice to all men. You don't want people to be taken advantage of. You want the law to be applied equally without fear or favor. That is the astute principle of law. Under the current circumstances, you are no party or you don't support any side based on your presentation here tonight. That's what you have told us.
So what
do you think?
Go ahead.
Do you think with the current circumstances, is the Constitution being respected?
But which side now?
On either side.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I will restate my position. The quote-unquote majority black had no legal reason to sit where they're sitting or where they sat and continue to operate as they operated, provided they were legally challenged and properly challenged. What the law requires is that, our court don't go around looking for cases. When lawyers appear before the Supreme Court, you better know why you are there. You should be very contented that you understand the facts of your client case and you are proceeding consistent with the appropriate method. If not, we'll be in the kind of Rickman road that we are in. The 49 guys who said they were sitting without Speaker Kofa, later on they got Representative Fala to Deputy Speaker Fala to sit with them and act as Speaker. Were they proceeding consistent with law? I would say no. Were they allowed to proceed because the Kofa group proceeded wrongly? Oh, of course. Why were they looking for rates all over the place? Why prohibition?
Already confused.
Let me get made a brief statement here for the listening audience. Representative Ellen Attal made clearly to the public that the reason most of the people are removing that signature is because they were betrayed. They signed.
Really?
They signed because they were going to give the speaker a due process under their rules and regulations, meaning that due process, you must bring your resolution to the floor. That resolution should be debated upon which a vote should be secured, a 49 vote two-thirds majority should be secured. And in that process, the speaker will recuse himself, will be a defendant in the case, according to their rule. Many of them rescinded their signature because that process would never follow. And I'm quoting Representative Ellen Attal, who said these words.
And you believe her?
She's a representative. Why do I have to? I have no reason to.
I'm asking because we are not talking about little children here. We are talking about eligible people.
But they're acting like literate anyway.
No. What the reason why I say that is that they went into some section and sat down and signed, my brother. If they thought,
but they signed under one condition, and that condition has not been
understand. Did they understand that by signing they were going to say they will get due process? They got documents to show that they're due process that is signed. They got nothing.
Okay, Mr. President. So let's agree that everything they did was right. Everything was right. For me, I'm going to tie everything to the numbers. Let's not believe it. How can you determine to 10? It's the question.
You will come from 1 to 49.
Can anybody tell me?
You will come from 1 to 49.
Well, that's why. No, guess what?
Ben, the lawyer.
Let me say
This is not fair.
when you have a case,
So this is not fair.
You can let Lofa come in, please. You let Lofa come in, man.
1 second. If I were to ask you to give me
You have it tonight.
10 of the people on this platform right now, you would give them that number. Because the only way you can give them the 10 of people on this platform is by counting the number of people here before you can determine that number. That's the only way possible it can happen. Not year and day. I rest my case for now. I'll come back to that matter again.
Okay, I mean, Lofa, you want to say something?
No, I mean, I see. Hey, the questions asked here tonight. I see. By the way, I see my brother Robert. It seems like you've been hitting the gym with SB. You coming kind of buff out here, showing the muscles and stuff. But that's good. You've been hitting the gym.
But lawyer, why you keep laughing with Lofa though? What's going on here? Everything he said, he's laughing.
I don't know Lofa.
Thank you.
I never met him before.
Oh, okay.
But again, to be honest with you, I'm very appreciative. I sat in the back, I listened to your view on the issue going on at the house. And to be honest with you, I think this is why we need to have people with that expertise. We need to push into people's expertise. If you're of legal mind, be a part of the conversation to help educate us. That way we are enlightened to what is happening, and everything I'm listening to. Again, I'm trying to stay abreast of the entire unfolding. All right. And not, I have no question. Well, let me not say I have no question. What would be your recommendation, okay, to both sides if you were asked to serve as an advisor? What would be your recommendation going forward?
I would say they should wait for the decision of the Supreme Court. And if that decision is in favor of counsel, Kofa, the House in unison should return to where they were meeting before and put forward their resolution and vote to remove it. They think they should remove it. I don't think after the Supreme Court decision they should stay in where. Let's say the Supreme Court says that where you're sitting is not where the House is supposed to be sitting. Return to status quo ante, go back to where Council Kofa is, and then present your resolution. I mean, vote your resolution. Then that is what the court will say. But what we're confusing here is a resolution and complaint. There's a difference between a complaint where an accused must be given due process and right to be represented as well as contest the evidence presented, as opposed to a resolution. A resolution will kick you out. After 49 vote, my friend, you can cry due process and what?
Not without a cause.
That's
not without a cause.
But what was the vote? They only have 42 people in the place.
Guys, can you let me? Robert, please. Robert, let this man land.
Lawyer, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Let him. I am saying that if the Supreme Court rule, I'm not on the Supreme Court bench. So if the court rules and say that Councillor Frantic Kofa was removed illegally, and that the party should return to status quo antique, meaning that return to the house you were prior to all of these allegations and whatnot, I think they should return there. And if the state wish to remove Councillor Kofa, then they should, by a resolution for cause of 49 members, vote and remove Speaker Kofa. There is no witness bringing from left side to right side. There is no issue of witnesses being presented. There's a difference between complaint and if you watch, I think Councilor Vanisham was advising the guy correctly. He said, "Look, start a complaint. If they don't appear, if you think you have to go by resolution." And they went by resolution. They hope that they are removing by 50 votes. My friend Ben, the high blood pressure is saying that he want to see the number. They said have 50 vote, and that's how they declared the speaker seat vacant.
So they did count that morning. The count were 42 persons present.
Yeah.
Then they went to paper. As a legal, there's no way you can use a signature for somebody who's not around to sign for anything.
So a resolution number kind. Resolution is by your signature. When you sign, your signature represents you. It binds you. So whether you are present at that time, unless you went ahead and maybe got some affidavit from somewhere, and you tried to file it, then you were part of it.
So let's agree with you. So let's agree with you that we had the 50 for the resolution. So after the resolution, you have to vote, and they vote, and then there where I am asking you now. So during their vote, when they voted, there were 42 persons that voted. In fact, they didn't even do that. They instead of counting, you know what they did? They did a yea and nay. And I'm asking you, tell me, how you get to tear out yea and nay? It's not possible. So tell me, that's a new map you guys want to see like.
Is yea and nay part of the unconstitutionality in the House? And they've been doing that a long time ago.
No, it's not. It's not part of it.
No, it's not. You see,
it's not
the
constitutional.
problem that I see with most of us here is that, we are used to a lot of wrong things that have happened in the past, and we have associated those wrong things to be good to the extent that even when the good things is being said to us, we still represent the wrong things.
So law is technicality, it's procedure.
I agree.
When you don't follow the process. And you are bound by it. The Supreme Court said you will suffer waiver and latches. In other words, they will beat your behind for not following the thing that you're supposed to follow. You did not object when you object. It's a problem on you. Don't complain about it.
So
Mr. Counselor, in Liberia currently we have that quote unquote tail lien that a lawmaker went to work and put the law into vote. And carteling, you've been to Liberia, and we don't have the thing they call carteling.
By law,
using it and killing innocent people.
But Anthony, that law.
Look, Anthony, I was in Liberia when. Let me tell you something. I was in Liberia when Randy's here were going across the bridge. I got into him at my office, and the late Justice Nangwe, Joseph Nangwe, was coming from New Town, and he took the tail lane that you're talking about by going on the sidewalk. And jumping from the other lane to where Rennie was coming from with his men. When Justice Nangwe got into the Supreme Court, he was in Chimos at the time. He summoned Rennie here to come and show cause why was he attempting to kill the justice by not moving from on the street. So the lawyers who went to represent Rennie here. What they have no knowledge that there is a law.
There is a law though
that says that
when they're on their way to work,
you will have to leave the place to get them. So all the lawyer did was Justice Nangwe brought the traffic law from under his desk and give it to the lawyer. That's what the law says. And the council said, Your Honor, I apologize.
Just give me 20 seconds, please. Let me ask you one last question. Let me ask you one last question, please.
Okay.
I'm not going to ask you any more questions about this case. I'm done with my question. But I'm done. But the last cases in an attempt to unconstitutionally remove the speakers, the last cases where Edward Snow resigned and what's his name resigned, and the court ruled that the action of the guys who were attempting to remove them were improper, right? Do you expect the Supreme Court, just based on previous rulings, to rule contrary in this case?
So the facts are a little bit different.
Okay.
If the Supreme Court, if the full bench of the Supreme Court will now hold Councillor Kofa and his team to the rejection of the prohibition, then the court will likely rule based upon what it did in the Tyler and Snow's case.
Councillor, quick question. Quick interjection question for you. Did they reject or decline? Because I remember there was another debate we had here about them saying they declined and did not deny.
They declined and they reject.
They didn't, because they said when you deny, then you could appeal. I think that was Kabina Jane who said that.
That's what I'm representing them.
Yeah, he said they didn't. He said they declined, saying that we're not.
The decline, yes, that's the one they used.
There was nothing to appeal. So I'm just asking you from a legal perspective: is that the same thing you alluding to? Because I know you say reject.
So I think Councillor Jana was wrong. The Supreme Court cited the parties. Councillor Jana and Councillor Sherman, they appear for other side. Whatever the facts were discussed there, the justice in chambers, Justice Wesley, rejected the petition and declined to issue the rate. When the justice declined to issue the rate, it means, let's say, for the prohibition. What prohibition does is that it stops you from doing something that is wrong, or it undo something that has been done wrongly. So what the justice did was he did not rule. It was not a favorable case for both Councillor Kofa and his team by declining to accept the petition and rejecting to issue the rate. When the justice, after a conference, hears and determine that the facts in the case warrant the issuance of a rate of prohibition, the justice will order the clerk to issue the rate. It means the petition was admitted. Now, that's not a decision to say that petition was, the merit of the petition has been decided, but just getting through the door of the Supreme Court, the petition was admitted, and the court issue a rate for the parties to file briefs and come and argue the side of the case. For the justice in chamber to make a decision. Let me tell you something. This is another process in Liberia that has been a problem that lawyers have not sought to cure. A justice by himself or by herself can sit in chambers and read the facts after you file a petition and decide to say the petition doesn't meet my legal understanding of wisdom, and decline to admit the petition and reject the issue of the rate. So if Liberia have had an intermediate appellate court, then the rate will be issued and the parties will be asked to file their briefs and they will be allowed to argue the side and the justice will then rule. Justice Jana, who is telling you that the decline mean there was no decision, so they could not appeal. Justice Jana was on the bench. He sat as justice in chamber many times. What did they do? One justice continued to be assigned in the chambers. One justice continued to be assigned in chambers. And with that kind of power to say, I will not accept the petition, I will not issue the rate, without the ability of the full bench to have any knowledge of what the petition looks like. Should that be changed? Yes, I have written and said that Liberia needs an intermediate appellate court with 5 justices sitting, so that matter from there can travel to the Supreme Court, so that you have 5 people, 5 legal minds examining the matter. But when you have Councillor Jewel sitting there in chambers and say, just Jewel sitting there in chambers and say, I disagree and I will not issue the reward, what else you do?
So, Councillor, let me just provide a short information.
1 minute. Councillor Jewel, I mean, you know, today is Thanksgiving Eve.
We gotta go.
You have done so much for us, and I appreciate it so much. I want to give
Somebody
you.
I have one last question you have made.
I come in. I want to give you opportunity to really to do your closing, but because you have done so well, the real thing we asked you to do, you did it for us already. Explain to us, to the Liberian people, understand what happened in Supreme Court today. We should want an explanation. You did it for us, and also about the more issue about this case. And we really will invite you because we have a lot of things to talk about it. The former Chief Justice case, the case involving the president asked for audits of all these government agencies. What's happening with the audits today? All the thing. We need legal guidance on it. We want to appreciate you. But before, while you're doing your closing comments, just add this there. I want to know, first of all, who you support in the election, and secondly, if President Baga asks you to serve his government today, will you serve the government? You can put it into your closing comments, sir. I beg you, please.
Let it go, man. Let it go.
So
all right.
Currently I work in the United States. I have a law office. I run an immigration law firm. I have a staff of 20 staff. I am well paid. So to get me out of here to go work as anyone in Liberia, except for I'm saying this is a sacrifice to help the country. Because I will ask you to pay me around $30,000 to $40,000 per month.
Wow.
Because I may be making that kind of money here. So if I would I would turn that down
above that. That's what you say.
And return to Liberia to advise, I'm not expecting you to pay me $5,000, $10,000. No. I will provide services free of charge where the need arises. For example, I'm working on a document now to see whether the group that the president set up by executive order, I think it's the assets recovery group. I think it should be done by statute. I don't think it should be done by executive order because executive order has a lifespan of 1 year. Others renew or is no longer legal. So I think something like that can help to work, do some work on it. But I don't wish to go perhaps to just politically sit somewhere and there's an issue with your advice. I'm very blunt if I say what I wish to say. I'm not interested in how much money you pay. If you can pay me, fine. But if I'm doing it on a pro bono basis, it'll be helpful. But not to gather to run after. And to say every other thing, I always have been in the middle. I do not believe any of the people who are running Liberia had done well. I do not believe Mrs. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf had done well. I do not believe Josh Weah did well. I don't think Joseph Boakai after 9 to 10 months is doing well. I think there's a lot of pick and choose, and I would talk and I would say my position. So I wouldn't leave my position to go leave my job to go to Liberia, hoping that you advise some president who will interpret politically.
Did you support Joseph Boakai during the last election, sir, if you don't mind?
No, I did not. I said I'm in the middle.
Thank you.
So you don't support anybody?
What do you think of Mr. Cummings?
Wait, hold on. Are we still asking a question here? Because I was
I did not support Mr. Cummings. I did not support.
No, we're going to ask a question.
Now we finish asking question because you threw your last question.
But I'm willing to help. I'm willing to help. Not on the basis of a job. I'm not interested in that because I don't think the government is ready to pay me.
Councillor Jawa, do you have?
And the question finished now.
At the main party. Do you have
when you go, I'll ask the party question too, Ben.
Do you have any Lofa? Chill, man.
Yeah, Ben asked that question.
He's not your man, man. Come on.
Man. You just jumping all over the place. Councillor Jawa, Do you have anybody in mind that you think could make a good president?
Wow.
Anybody? Do you know of anybody?
You know, my take would be, I have written and said that the Liberian budget is a problem of deconstructing Liberian development. I think people hide a lot of things in the budget.
I agree.
And so I go to Liberia every year.
Yeah.
I have a functioning law office in Monrovia. So I'm in and out of there.
Is there an office on Crown Hill?
No, I'm directly adjacent to Old Lone Star building on Broad when you cross Center Street.
Okay.
Building, I'm up on the third floor.
Okay.
I think someone who will not write a budget to pay 80% salary would do well for Liberia. If you say 70, 65% of development, say for example, I'm from Grand Bassa County. I can boast that we have a road, but we have only 2-lane road.
True.
How's about Sano County? How's about Grand Crew? How's about people who have interest in making sure that Liberia is not looking like two different countries, or someone who basically has such an interest? I will support you.
So you don't have a name?
Pardon me?
You don't have a name? That's the question I asked. Do you have a name? Do you have anybody in your mind that fit that
for 2029?
For 2029, yes.
Currently, I don't see anyone yet.
Okay.
I think everyone else who thought that Joseph Boakai would have done better, I'm looking at that he's not doing better. I think there are a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
And a lot of money being spent, not well spent. Take, for example, if the Senate can have retreat in Grand Bassa County for almost $700,000 for 3 days, the question is, for what? And if someone, I would think that Liberians here should take the responsibility. I have offered that Liberians here would get together and I will start the process. I will donate $25,000 to begin to start. That will form a real party to go to Liberia and see how Liberia can be changed. Things can be changed, but we live the same old way. We're not interested in doing anything more than that. We are so concerned with who my friend and who is connected to me into the judiciary. So there's a whole reform process in the judiciary that needs to be done. There's a whole reform process in the legislative branch that needs to be done. Stop electing villagers that are only coming for money.
Thank you.
Let me just throw a name out there. You probably haven't heard of it, but one of our panelists on here, Pewee, he's aspiring to be. Would you consider supporting Pewee? Yesterday he mentioned it. He cleared. So
I like to see the manifesto.
What are you knowing about now?
I like to see the manifesto. I like to see what interest that person actually has.
But
George, we are by a very slim vote because people thought that President Boakai would have done better. I think what is being done now is intelligent theft.
What about Gongloe, though?
How about Gongloe?
Yeah, Gongloe has, it stands for principle. I think Gongloe will be helpful. He will need to be helped in order to move forward.
Will you rally around Gongloe?
The issue with Gongloe is that Liberia is a money place. Like Gongloe doesn't have money to go anywhere.
So if you listen to Mr. Cummings anytime.
I have one thing.
You going to Met Broker National TV?
No, I don't say he broke. I don't just say he doesn't have money.
He doesn't have it.
So look, if you go
you don't think Cummings? Yeah, you don't think Cummings has what it takes?
I think Cummings is very educated and experienced. I think Cummings is
because he got money.
He has a lot of money.
When it comes to Liberian politics,
you think he's what?
He is a novice. When it comes to Liberian politics, I don't see where you bring somebody like what a guy from Grand Bassa County. You bring somebody like the former defense minister from Taylor. You bring Dr. Gatewood McIntyre. You bring Louis Brown. All these people are people who come in to just mislead you.
So then how are we going to survive? So then how do we survive if we start a party? How do we survive? One second, please. How do we survive then if we started a party? Because I like your idea. 25,000, I'll make a contribution as well. So how do we survive if we started a diaspora party to go back home and change the country when the bulk of us may be considered, successful, educated, but novice when it comes to Liberian politics? How do we navigate?
I'm not saying you should just organize a party say working with Liberians on the ground. There are Liberians on the ground. There are good Liberians on the ground. Working with Liberians on the ground to ensure that something is done. I mean, I have a good friend who is currently the security advisor to President Buaka. Kofi Woods had never been a security man. What security does he know? Why is he a security advisor?
No, but that speaks more to Buaka's judgment.
But what I'm saying is that we misplace people.
Okay.
Kofi would have been very good even if he was the one leading the human rights, what you call it, the war crime code. I would have thought he had done that. But to put him to a place that what happened to Barney Samaka? That's a security man for a very long time.
Yeah. Do you think Buaka can turn it around?
So have you learned about this Liberian
club? I want to ask this question.
Let the man go now. Let the man go.
Let me join it.
Let the man go back.
You did mention two very important things. Number one, the national budget, and number two, a person with the expertise, the technical know-how, and connection.
Yeah.
Two of those things is found in Cummings. Your only disagreement is the connection to Liberia. With your mindset, with their approach, with the understanding of Liberia, do you think if you reach out to him or if he reach out to you, vice versa, to have an exchange and see how to how would that play out?
Yeah, why not? Why not, Councilor? If two of the things you highlighted is in Cummings and there is a deficiency that you can be able to complement, why don't you join Cummings?
I mean, I'm not a member of any political party.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to see if you can strike the budget, apportionment in the budget to impact the ordinary citizen in Liberia.
And that is
I left Liberia when I'm taking bath in bucket.
So you're
going back to Liberia.
Please.
Yeah,
So let me just ask one question.
Ben, let's all about to say something, please, man. Then you come in.
Yeah, and I'm not saying who you should support, who you shouldn't support, but a lot of times when I look at the who we choose to support, the first thing that ring out to me is that Liberians are very lazy. We're lazy to rally behind someone and actually stand the ground and support them. Because when one person says something and we say, the man not politically, he know politics. Oh, the other man got money. How do leaders get into power? They don't have everything. All the things that you're looking for in a leader, they usually don't have everything. They may be lacking money, and you have some people who will say, you know what? We believe in the person who will rally but will raise the money. They may have the money, they may not have the political savviness. You will have the people who have the political savviness will say, you know what, the person that got money, good. Yeah. The other thing we never have a plan. Everything is last minute. These people, I mean, I always say America is my adoptive country, Liberia is my biological country. So I've had the pleasure of living in both countries and participating in elections in both countries. There's no plan in Liberia. There's no plan. And when I say plan, the people can start running their campaign sometimes from the time they're small. Barack Obama, we didn't hear his name until later on, but everybody in Chicago knew who he was. He from grassroots, they knew his name.
He started running in 2004.
Yeah, collecting data, getting to know voters where he not doing good yet. We never have a plan. The way we make decisions is based on how divisive we are. They tribe here, the other tribe, I told somebody, I say, when you talk to the Irish Liberian person on the street, a lot of times the first thing they're thinking about is not the tribal situation. That the politicians that can come out and then they soak it in our head that everything is tribal, everything is tribal. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of things in Liberia, there is based on tribalism. But if you're running a campaign, a lot of those young people in Monrovia, because I where more than half of the population in Liberia is in Monrovia, go talk to them and see if tribalism will be one of the top things that come out in the book. Then we are not nationalists. you know, we're talking about our budget. If you, they always say, if you want to know where the country interest is, you look at a national budget. America interest is their defense. People can go up and down. They get causing noise. People can put most of the money into the national defense because they want to protect the borders, and you know they won't be in everybody's business too. Also, so they take most of the money in the national budget to put it towards defense. In South Africa, I think it's the primary education.
The first country, where educated country in Africa.
Yeah, exactly.
94% literacy rate.
You know where our money can go?
Salaries.
Exactly, government, administrative. That's where we can put our own money. Then we say, oh, you know what, we need to do. We don't talk about healthcare. We don't talk about education. Until something go wrong, then we start complaining that, you know, the country going to the dogs, you know, the healthcare. But when the people passing the budget, the citizens, number one, they're not educated enough to put their representative, the senators, to task to say, you know what, this is where we want our money to go. And then hold them accountable for it. And the other thing, we're not honest people. We sat here all day arguing about simple thing as our legislature. Those people that they left for us to call them honorable. They come up with rules as gentlemen, laws, or they can't even follow it. Now they're about to hold the country hostage because they cannot follow their own rules. And they're driven by politics and money. We're not honest people. So when you start looking at all those things, you know, the man said somebody got to pay him $30,000 a month. I don't know how much he's making, but it's a deterrent that I don't want to go over there. I don't want to pack up, leave my company, my business here that I'm doing, my money, I'm making my life here to go over there because the people are not serious. So when we're talking about a leader in Liberia, let's be honest with ourselves. If the person is missing one thing, are we ready to rally behind them and say, you know what, whatever they're missing, we will substitute it. We'll fight behind it. Are we able to do it? Or are we going to find what's saying again?
You can't find somebody that has everything.
No, you can't find somebody that have everything.
So you can't. It's true. You cannot find.
So I have just. I'm optimistic right now that at least my political leader have two things already checked off the list.
So I have one Liberian that I want to recommend to you.
As I close, I will let you know that, look, my office in Liberia, we are focusing on two things. One, pretrial detention. Not a single lawyer in Monrovia has interest in knowing how many people in jail and why they are in jail. Second, we are interested in female genital mutilation issues, violence against women. These are all pro bono services. I sit here, write grant to be able to support a lawyer that will work. I'm recruiting new lawyers, reorientating them to ensure that you don't have to go far pleading to support somebody who got or represent Firestone to make money. If you can write very good project, you can get approval, you can have your agency to run. But what I see, what my problem is, the budget has been major problem, because at the end of the day, see the current budget, how much is going to roads in Liberia, for example?
That's it.
How much of the money going to? No, just look recently. We have what the government announced, that there is a $25 million for young Liberian to come to Europe, come to United States and go to Canada.
That's a scam.
Yeah, man.
And they put a link on the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Minister of Education website. So nobody control it. Liberians were going there and filling out some kind of form that they told them it's $236.
$236, yeah.
It's the entrance.
And they still got a job today. And they still
ministers.
Oh wow.
The Minister of Education was part of it. She worked here. She lived here. She was a vice president for a university in Delaware. They put that link up, and nobody controls, knowing how vulnerable Liberians are. The young people want to come to the United States. So people were filling out the form. So after that, they said, okay, there is a college preparatory, $400. There is a TOEFL test, $400. There's a partial payment for you to go to America, your ticket, $1,000. The government Liberia did nothing about it.
Visa training.
Yeah. So we who live here,
I saw that there.
around the country, but as we close, if you get to know me more, much more technical. If you don't, and our laws are technical, if you don't follow the procedure, you will have a problem. And the problem will lead us to where we are. Again, I will hope that the Supreme Court can say that what is happening is either constitutional or unconstitutional, and the parties return to status quo ante. And don't believe that the executive doesn't know. The executive is fully engaged.
Of course.
Whether it's in front or in the back, the executive is engaged.
Oh, we know that.
So
he's on.
we can help our country by having, to team up. Maybe, as you said, Mr. Kami could be somebody good. I struggle to believe that people are serious when you bring those old hands from around the corner and put them around you, hoping that they can help you. Gabriel McIntosh cannot help you. At the age of 82, 83, he cannot help you.
But the president is almost 85.
Yeah. No, I talking about Mr. Cummings having Gabriel McIntosh to be. What did the guy do? They just jump ship. They went back to United Party. Louis Brown is coming to the UN to represent Liberia.
So we are past that stage now. We still have a time ahead of us.
So yeah, let's talk. All of us here interested in the country. Let's see how we can go. Let's see how we can proceed. Let's see some of the manifesto people have. Let's see what their interest is. Roll water. I can't go back to Liberia and have to wait for put a ticket on the fire to get hot water put in the bucket to go take bath. I was doing that when I left in 2001. I'm still doing that when I go back. Every year I go back, that's it.
Can you, hopefully we can have you on the show more often.
Yeah. Whoever invited you, they all adjusted today.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. I gotta go.
Thank you so much.
Happy Thanksgiving to all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you very much.
Listen, Tomalin, let me say this before I go, please. Let me say this before I go. I like the guy, right? He seems to be a cool professional, right? I like the guy. But to be honest with you, his legal opinion on some of it's almost seems like he's afraid to give his own opinion legally on what should happen or what he supports and what he does not support. But it's clear that he's very opinionated on the direction of our country and the politicians and the leaders that are running our country. So if you were this blunt on these issues, I expect him to be as blunt on the issue when it comes to the legal affairs and what these guys are doing. I wanted him to say these guys in the majority black violated the Constitution. In fact, in our Constitution, we don't have such thing as a majority black. I wanted him to be pointed when it comes to each of the issues legally, not just his opinion. But it seemed like he was afraid to speak on these issues. But other than that,
can I say something, Tommy? I beg you. I think
he addressed all the issues.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't. In his defense, Robert,
the prohibition, the case, he told what Kofa team went wrong. Maybe they never did a full filing. And then he also talked about the issue. Don't forget to now. He's still part of the law for the Supreme Court.
Yeah, law business in Liberia. Remember.
That's what I was going to say. I think in his defense, I think he was trying to be extremely careful. He has a law firm in Liberia. He's a counselor at the Supreme Court bar. It's a matter that's before them. I don't think he was trying to step on toes, but I think he was very clear. He talked about the fact that he thought Kofade went hunting in the beginning, which is a fact, right? If you talk to some of the Kofa folks, they will tell you probably there were some things they should have done that they didn't do, right? But he was also very clear that he do not believe, and those were his words. He said, I do not believe what they're doing in the joint chamber is what they should be doing, right? And what I also do like that he said in the end, and which is what I think should be the position of all Liberians, right? Whether we agree or disagree with what the Supreme Court is going to say, we have to respect their opinion.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because they are the final arbiter. If they come out tomorrow and they say what those guys have done is constitutional, I would disagree with it, but I respect it. I also do believe that if they do say that, it will be a recipe for chaos in the country, not in the sense of destruction, a recipe for chaos in our governance system, because I think it will open the floodgates for people to, especially in our national legislature. And like I said, what his name? Musa Belete said it. He said if they agree, if they say these guys did it, in fact, his prediction is that every year we'll have a new speaker.
Yeah.
And the reason is simple. One, we don't have an assertive executive. This is not Ellen. If this was Ellen Jones, this crisis would be over by now. If this was George Weah, this crisis would be over by now. Let's call a spade a spade. We don't have an assertive chief executive. We have a chief executive who tends to maybe throw stones and hide his hands, or try to really walk and be careful. I think if the Supreme Court says what they have done is constitutional and is legal, I think it's a recipe for chaos in our governance system, and I think it will be the beginning of the end of the arrest agenda, because I don't think anything constructive will happen in the country, because like Musa said, Musa didn't hide it. He said, I will lead the next coup, and it will be well within his right to do it, because according to the Supreme Court, this is the way we go about moving speakers, right? But if they do say that what they have done is not constitutional, I think they should return to the chambers. I think they should throw everything they have done away and begin the process of trying to remove the speaker the right way. And I think the speaker is going to recuse himself. He has been very clear about that. He has been very clear about what he will do if they come to the chambers. And guess what? If they don't want him as their leader, which a majority of them at least have said, he's not going to impose himself on them. But I think it has to be done the right way. But I thought Councillor Jewitt did. I mean, at the beginning, he was I was a little confused, but then towards the end, I had some clarity from him on his position on both sides, on what he thought Kofa fell short and where he thought, what he believes these guys should be doing. I just thought I say that.
And personally, Ben, just throw it in here. I followed the show from the back all through. I was driving, so I wasn't able to join. But to be honest with you, just following again, I think this is kind of like it's part of us as Liberians. It's almost like we always want to hear what we want to hear. Okay, when it is not what we want to hear, then we disagree with that, and that's why I said to him, I appreciated the fact that he came on and he stood his ground based on what he believed in. It's not just based on assumptions that people come to these kind of conversations and just assert their views. But what he spoke to is what he's, well informed about, and he actually educated a lot of us on his position. And this is why it is very important that all of us, take note of these things. When Ben, I hear you say, if this happens, if the Supreme Court render a decision that supports the majority bloc, then again, I don't think if you're here telling us that we should, obey or support the rule of law, whatever the Supreme Court says, I think we should, acknowledge, appreciate, and then live by it going forward. But I think he did a good job.
That's exactly what I said, Ben.
I think
that's exactly what I said, Lofa. I said I would disagree with him,
right?
But I would respect it.
But that's my point. That's what I'm saying. And again,
I have a right to disagree.
No, Ben. I'm not telling you that you shouldn't have to disagree with him. But all I'm saying here is that at times we shouldn't have to always wait. It was a great show tonight where he actually informed the general public, our audience, on what may be missing, what we need to include in our political system so that the domain is well controlled, not just having everybody just jumping here and there, pretending to be experts at everything when you lack the knowledge as to what is being discussed. We should open our minds to having people with the expert knowledge come in and educate us. That will help us to just, elevate the conversation a little bit more than where we have it. And again, help us move forward. But in conclusion, I think that he did a great job tonight, not having to side with a specific group, whether it is the majority bloc or those who consider themselves the legal bloc. he instead educated us on the legal aspect of it and what he will recommend going forward. And then finally, he literally hit the home run when he made recommendation as far as the kind of leader that will help us move Liberia forward. And that kind of leader we are yet to find until all of us can become a part of the process. We can it become a little bit more inclusive where all of us can contribute to it. But other than that, I think it was a good show that he educated all of us tonight.
You know, he said something though, and people are texting me here, right? And we have not tried it before. People believe that if Liberians in the diaspora really come together, but again, and really come together and say, look, we can come together one unit and
it's not going to happen. Why are you acting like you know it's not coming? Again, why are you trying to live your dream?
Because you know, like Salamaru said, right? We are
that's never going to happen.
That's not that.
But
see.
Let me learn. But we are very divisive. It's true. I believe it.
Tommy, but no, Jack, one before you can. Check your organization and you get around. Check the organizations then in the states. Every state organization.
You're going too far.
I'll tell you this.
We have a group of Liberians who can come together and say, you know what, let's start one business.
I'll tell you this, right?
The first question was people will say,
together in America.
Let me say this. I can tell you this.
Not national, but national administration.
My fire stream group we're in, right? That one of the organizations have seen that we are so united. We're able to build a library that costs $150,000.
You'll start a party.
The library we're building in Magibi, where I'll be running soon, that district.
Oh, you're breaking news.
Oh, you're announcing your run too?
I'm joking, but we built a model library in Magibi, and our budget right now, our bank account is in 100,000. We don't joke in our organization, the Fire Stream Group. But we're united. But again, when the guest says it's true, we're very divisive. Like
once it comes to politics.
But very quickly, right?
Once it comes to politics, forget it.
People will be asking me one feet away on this thing. You know this guy very well. Daniel Sando. Yeah, he did something to the people everybody's complaining about. He attacked the guy who resigned. When as far as saying the guy was allowing the people pregnant somebody in the office and all this stuff. Tell us, I mean, you know you haven't heard it, maybe you haven't listened to the tape, but what's your take about such a comment coming from the deputy minister? The same minister who said during election they would drag George Weah in the streets. I mean, and he has done a lot of stuff. He crossed the line a lot of time, okay? And to the extent where people are complaining about. Besides that, look, just when I kept wedding on Saturday, I won't call name, but Ben, I should know the person. Somebody tapped in the government was texting back and forth. But instead, when they saw that picture with Patrick Horner, with what again in Collido and Mo Ali them, but he said, look, this is embarrassing. The optics. So look, we don't have a problem with them doing what they're doing, but we accuse the weird people for doing the same thing they're doing. And then you put them on social media, like you rubbing in the people's faces and so forth. You know, and then Dan Sanders went today, he said something today. People are it's trending in all the chat rooms we're in right now. People are complaining about it. People are surprised at him.
So I have. Let me state for the record, I have no opinion. I don't care because the very Matthew Yemplu were costing people mind power for this Joseph Burger business. So I don't listen. I don't have an opinion. They can cost each other. They can cost inside, upside down. I don't care. This is how they got to power. They got to power insulting everybody for their opinion. Those of us, you know how many times Matthew cost me? The Janet Sano. You know how many times they cost me? For some reason, these guys, and that's why I say whatever's happening in Liberia today, I care less. I do. I really don't. Because let me say this. This notion that these people had that if you were not supporting Boyka, then mean you were not patriotic.
You're not Liberian.
Then you're now Liberian. Then you love Liberia less. Forgetting to understand that some of the people who were not even supporting Joe Boyka at one point supported him. They supported, some people supported him in 2017. They're very good. Salamatu. She just this time decided I'm just not one of those people who ever supported him. Because I always knew my fundamental issue with President Joe Boyka was I had a problem when I saw that his boss of 12 years could not stand and be his number one character witness. That was always my issue. My issue was if you want to hire, because I was getting ready to hire him to be my president. That was a job interview you were on. If I ask for reference and your number one, your last employer can tell me that you were a great employee and you will be somebody who would do what it's supposed to do to be able to make the company or the country move forward, how the hell am I going to take a bet on you? Right? So whatever Daniel Sando and Matthew Yemplu are doing, Matthew, listen, I wish him well. I have no opinion on his thought process because, again, like I said, these are the people who are making it look like they were not supporting Joe Boyka for government jobs. They were making it look like they were doing it because they loved Liberia, that they didn't want to have anything to do with government job. Just for you to see, I was listening to it today. Somebody said, but Daniel Sando actually said that Matthew begged Jerry Limick for that job because he said what he was doing in America was demeaning. But they were insulting some of us who, by the way, live 10 times better than them. And for some of us, we the one who was supposed to be the one who were being paid by government, by President Weah or by Mr. Cummings and all these people. So I don't care what they do. They can curse each other. They can have press conferences. I have no opinion, Tommy. I'm sorry to disappoint you because at the end of the day, President Joe Boyka is running his government. This is what Liberians bargain for, and we inside. I'm baby.
So you see, in our country now, a serious country or what?
I said that to you over and over. You're the one who believe that some epiphany will happen. Lofa believes that Jesus Christ will come down. He will build the best candidate. Look, we have a problem in the country as a people. As a people. And that was the only last thing I wanted to ask Councillor Pewee. Because for me, when does the responsibility fall on the people? When does it fall on us as a people? No, nobody's perfect. Even in this country. The people just elected Trump. They just elected Trump. But guess what? There are guardrails that will be in place. There are things that will happen. Trump may never be able to do what he did on January 6th. Because you know what? It happened before and they have put in place guardrails. They have closed some of those loopholes. Until we start to do those things in our country, we're running on a Paris wheel. And I'm not going to sit down and worry myself. Listen, my son is in college. He's doing well. My beautiful daughters are doing well. We got Thanksgiving tomorrow. And that's it. That means in a few weeks or so, I may go to Liberia. Liberia is still my country, but they won't burn it down to the ground. They won't do anything. They won't do triple jack, triple, anything they won't do. The things I got opinion on, I will talk about it. But I am not going to sit here and try to create a reality in my mind. Like I think everything that's going on in this government, I knew it was going to happen. I knew we predicted it. We argue against it. I
thought you were moral conscience.
Don't go there.
Out of my mouth.
And let me end on this note. I consistently said that if you gave me George Weah and you gave me Joe Boyka, I would take George Weah any day. The reason was because I knew what I was going to be expecting from George Weah. And I saw the arrogance in these guys' face. I don't like people who try to come to create an impression when you know you're up to the task. Now you're swimming. You attack Eugene Nangwe for eating lobster. What was Mo Ali's defense for them swimming and selling and to do it? He said it was supporting Liberian businesses. Like the place that Eugene Nangwe bought the lobster from, that were now a business in Liberia.
Foreign business.
So I'm just saying, guys.
Crazy.
I wish them well. I want the country to succeed. I wish them well. Let's see what's going to happen. But I don't have any opinion on what goes on between Daniel Sano and then.
On this part, actually, maybe I should allow Solomon to go before I jump in on here because.
Look, I thought you closed.
Close on what? No. I'm waiting for George. We are a march yesterday to charm me before I come in. But I don't know if you wanted to charm me first before I go, but I'll probably give you the opportunity to go.
Yeah, let's give it to our sister first.
Yeah, because I gotta go tomorrow, Thanksgiving. Once again, thank you so much, Tomalin, for calling and inviting me on. I know I've been away for a while, just kind of been divorced from Liberia politics, but more involved. But I'm I've always been passionate about my micro and small businesses, so I will always remain engaged with them. The politics is just kind of is depressing. And you know, on both ends, it's like you leave Liberia, you depressed with the politics, you kind of you're like, wow, same thing. So for the next couple of years, I'm gonna focus on business. There's certain, you know, maybe issues I'll put my mouth in, but for the most part, I mean, I hear what Ben's saying. It's tiring. You know, we're young. I realized how to get, I think I met Ben. Well, I started to get so involved in the Liberian community.
True.
I grew up in America and moved to Liberia and stayed there for 11 years and literally got involved in Liberia. Love the country with all my heart. But, you know, at some point the people have to take responsibility for what we do. We can't keep blaming.
You know, the leader.
We put a leader there. When we let what to do, then we complain.
Yeah.
Then we put somebody else at the same thing, just running around in circles and stuff.
So, but let Lofa rare before he can. I was surprised the other day. Yes, Cindy was doing a show. I saw Francis though. That other one who used to cuss people.
From Canada.
That boy cuss my wife, my children, my everybody. I saw that boy cussing and talking about Joseph Boyka.
And he was on your Cindy show. He was on since your Cindy show.
That's not true. That can never be true.
I'm telling you, man, let Lofa here because
after the show, then you're absolutely right about that because
I saw Lofa writing asking, say, is this Francis Doe? Because I think he was shocked.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was my position.
Yeah, the man openly said he said we support that Boyka because or a tribe.
Yes.
He openly said it. We
Yes.
ignore all.
I remember Francis Doe.
He said we ignore everything that we knew were wrong. And we support him.
And he admitted to the fact that he admitted to the fact that
Huh?
he admitted
leaving the people.
No, not a Liberian Business Association. Yeah, I don't deal with people who don't work in the interest of the people. Yeah, no offense to them. They, you know, 5, 6 years ago, I started the Made in Liberia. That's been my passion. Those businesses, I've known them for over 5 years. I've seen how they come from bagging their stuff in plastic bag to now packaging it where they got labels on it. You know, when George Weah was in power, that was one of my biggest disappointment. The fact that, you know, when he got there, I really thought, you know, sometimes you can think the young people when they get there, if they do plenty of things wrong, they will look out for the other young people. Yeah. You know, Liberians will not be spectators. And then when they just ignore the whole small businesses, it really touched my soul. I'm not a fan of his, but by helping small businesses, it's not like you're doing me a favor. And I will say this government has honestly looked at the small businesses a little differently. They're willing to help. There's a lot that needs to be done, not just taking money and giving it to us, but also recognizing these businesses and looking at laws that favor a good business environment for them. And if they are prospering in Liberia, other businesses will continue to prosper. Let's not forget when Ebola happened, I was in Liberia when Ebola happened and when COVID happened. When Ebola happened, a lot of the large foreign businesses that we always run into, they left Liberia. And the small businesses, there was nowhere for them to go. They stayed there. And they had to hold their own ground. The world literally shut the borders out to Liberia. You know, we had to be in the country, we had to survive. So I know that they can do more. They have little resources, but just imagine when you start looking at some of our old policies from the 1970s, you know, when I hear about policies from like Torgbean time, I'm like, why are we not revisiting these things to try to help these small businesses? So yeah, that's my passion. It will always be my passion. And I have to say that this government, even though they know I was very publicly, I wasn't for them. I was for them in 2016, yeah, but this time, you know, I wasn't for them. But they've been very supportive towards the small businesses. They've been willing to listen and just ask, you know, what we can do for. So that's my passion for them. I encourage people, you know, every time we say we have small businesses doing something, I pray that you'll go and you'll support them. I'm not getting rich out of it. It's just something that from the time I went to Liberia, meeting the market women, working with them, working in Pinsville, working at the Chamber of Commerce, I just have a passion because I see the resilience that these people have. You know, they have very little resources, but they make it work. They show up. and they're trying despite the business environment. So, that my own passion in politics, I will slow down on it until we find Jesus to come down and run for president of Liberia, because apparently that's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for Jesus to come back to Liberia, the perfect man, and then we'll rally behind him. But our country, we got to continue to work, even if we're in the diaspora, and we have to continue to work together. I know we in the diaspora, we have access to a lot of resources that we think we got the money with that. The people on the ground cannot feel isolated. And I think that was one of the things that I did see with all of us. The people on the ground cannot feel isolated, because again, there's not one thing that can win an election. It takes a lot of moving parts. So one group have the money, the other group may have the political savviness in Liberia. The people in Liberia know the ground. They know the ground, they know the people, they know how to lie to us, they know how to not lie to us. So we have to figure out a way, even if we're in the diaspora, how do we work with the people on the ground? What exactly do the people want? What are they looking for in a leader? Maybe we in America, there's something different that we're looking for in a leader. We think, we say, oh, the leader got to do this, the leader got to do that. But it's based on our experience from being outside of Liberia. But we need to start really engaging the people who are on the ground, talking to them. And when I say engage, you got to go to all of the counties. And it was supposed to start yesterday. Yesterday, that when whoever won't run for president in the next 6 years, that's when they should have started running their campaign. Yesterday, not tomorrow, not next year when things calm down. Yesterday, if we're really serious about getting somebody in power that can do something. And let's not forget, the executive, that one branch, the legislature is our biggest problem, in my opinion. Our legislature is just a bigger problem, and because it's a bigger problem, it will be a bigger issue to fix. It will not happen next year. It will not happen with if we get a good president we put in there. If we got a mess up legislature, guess what? The things stay chocolate. I'm not even going to go to the judiciary, but we're just talking about legislature and the executive. But on that note, I said enough. Thank you again, Tomalin. Please, if I can come on, I will come on. Like I told you, it's been a bittersweet year for me. Some good things, but some very not so good things. But I'm doing okay, and I hope to visit my sweet Liberia very, very soon. I miss everybody. And yeah, so anytime you need me, give me a call when I can come on. I will definitely come on. But it's good seeing everybody.
Thank you. And again, I said my thoughts and prayers with you and your family for what you have gone through this year. It has been a tough year for you, I know. And I just pray that you continue to hold on to God, on changing hands, and we'll see you through. God bless you. And thank you again. We'll always stay in touch.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving too.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family as well, Solomon too,
Thank
and everybody else. So Tomalin, let me just close on this note. With the issue of Ben mentioned the this Daniel Sando guy, but I want to start with the issue of Francis Doe, because I commented on Cynthia Cindy post. Sometimes we play deaf ears to the issue that we have, the problem that affects us. We want to play good Samaritans, and in all honesty, it is part of Liberia's problem up until today's day. That very Francis Doe individual insulted my mother. Okay,
Wow.
Yeah, he insulted my mother.
I've seen he can cuss.
Yeah, he insulted my mother, and not to just end with that, even though he later on said, Lofa is a big brother. I respect him, but the damage have been done. Okay, and other people, but Liberians in their rational minds would support such individual as compared to having them reprimanded for actions taken again previously. They would say elections are over, let's move on. My position here when it comes to moving Liberia forward is, and that's part of the reason why I always remind people, okay, about their contribution. And I like when people always remind me, like Margaret Johnson. Margaret always remind me of the decision that I made 2016 or 2017 to support President Boykott's candidacy. Thank goodness he did not win. Okay. And the second time, I did not support him. And obviously, it shows his weakness. Going forward, we must understand we cannot be experts at everything. We have our, our professions. You work, whatever you do, Tomalin, Ben, myself, we may be as good at it. But when it comes to certain things, we must be willing to listen to those who have the expert knowledge. And that's why I have been very fortunate. As of late, I've had people who serve in government. I never served in government before, but I had people who are currently in government, people who were in government before, who have reached out, okay, and said, Lofa, let us give you our perspective on this. Let me give you this side of things. And I listen. And I think that is the best way to learn. Listen from both sides, and hopefully you can digest what is provided to you, and you can make logical conclusion, the decision on these various things that are going on. We cannot be sentimental, as people say, or we cannot play smart. Folks want to present themselves as being smart and knowledgeable of the subject matter, when of course you're not. You cannot. We cannot sit out here all day and play as though we understand the legal proceeding. I am not a legal practitioner. I read what is written. I can attempt to interpret it based on my comprehension, but would that be accurate as compared to a legal practitioner, someone who understands it? The practical knowledge of what is happening is what enhances your ability to implement. Okay, it don't matter how much you may read. Okay, and that's why we often say people who run to Liberia in search of jobs and their refusal to compete in this very competitive society are simply shown the inability to stand up to the challenges. And that's what's happening in Liberia today. So I was very appreciative of our guest tonight. I think he actually educated a lot of us on things that we may not have had the legal understanding of. And then going forward, this Daniel Sanders thing, I'm not going to speak to it because this dude insulted so many people that today are not even willing to engage him. But these are people who consider themselves civil, the educated people, they're intelligent, but they are representing President Joseph Numa Boycott. All right. I'm not surprised that these people are being rewarded with jobs in Liberia. It's not based on competence. It's simply based on their, the level of, again, what we say, they're just submitting to anything. And that's why I think about it. Daniel Sando, I don't regard him as anybody in any other country, anywhere other than Liberia. Daniel Sando would not be serving in government today. Daniel Sando, but let me say this, and I'll close on this. Had Daniel Sando not done what he did to Ben Sanvee or Matthew, you know what Ben would be saying here today? Oh, Matthew is a friend and brother. We've known each other from way back then. Okay? Yeah. That's what Ben would have been saying here today. He would have been saying that. Oh, Matthew is a friend and brother from way back then. It's just politics. He would not want to reference the fact that this very Matthew guy insulted people, because I had people reach out to me and they were like, oh, why are you playing that Matthew guy thing? You know how rude he was during the election? I'm like, this very Matthew guy helped you to get elected. So I'm hearing Ben saying here and talking about this man insulted me. Had this man not done what he did to Ben would have been on here talking about, that man is a friend and brother. That's politics.
Lofa, I'll tell you this. Right? One time I'll tell you this, guys. Some of us, we've been around for long. I'll tell you this, though.
Mm-hmm.
During the war, right? People died. Many people got killed for because what was happening today in this country? In the country. I thought we learned from the war, but apparently we have not learned from the war. Look, Some people took the guy killed for taking advantage of someone. Like for instance, ask the kids about this guy is in Rhode Island still. They shot his. I think they shot that the gunshot is still in him. Or Johnny Nine Jr. He's still in Rhode Island area. I live with him there. I attended one New Year's service with him, and he was giving testimony about how they killed his father, George Dweck. All because working at LEC for suddenly the man did nothing. Just got promoted or something. No reason you kill that man for little or nothing. Some people kill some people because of woman and man business. Okay, I wanted this girl, but you wanted the girl, but the girl no one wanted you. But because Ben took the girl, unknown to you, Ben had no idea he wanted the girl, or because you wanted that girl and Ben took, he said, "Oh, that man, I want that girl. He took that girl for me."
And he didn't even tell the guy say you want to get to. The guy kept paying you.
I had no idea that what happened, but you kill him because of that. Some people took it. People held grudge, and then the last thing too, I told you the story. I met this LPRC boss in Nigeria. We're in Nigeria for some conference. We met there. He invited me and a delegation to his the Federal Palace Hotel in Lagos. Went there. We had a nice dinner with the guy. When the guy came back, he said, "Georgilo, that's my card, everything. Find me. I want to look out. You know the LPRC, you walk from the road, you can't put it down, you gotta walk in." I walked there, thinking the man people would come back. I had once in my pocket. The man, if you hear I was there, he could have posted under the security said, "My man, that man gone." The man guy left. I had to walk back. I said, man, forward on me. So come to fast forward. We're in a relief business. You know, during relief time, when we work with any relief organization, you know,
Yeah, people.
the food were there. You will get the people.
Yeah, you're big boy now.
The extra one you get some. So after that, I sit down somewhere chilling, hide myself, catch my head. I said, that Mr. So there. Then I told the boss, go check that guy who that asked me need. He said, "Huh?" The man was walking like he gone crazy. Because he was out of job. Just like you see, most of the guys today in Liberia, like honorable, riding flashy cars. Tomorrow, let something happen or the other job. You'll be sorry for them. So now they're Ben here, we go Liberia all the time. They are telling go Liberia. I said, "Chairman, what are you doing?" He said, "My man, they man, my man." I said, he's spending money, he offering people. He said, I said, "But that man there was a big man." He said, "My man, the high A. He taking it." Then the simple will come. "Oh, Ben, it may cost you now, man, you get." He said, "Oh, it may cost you now." But you go down and say, "Well, man, I'll cost you another day." He said, "My man," I said, "You do well. Let me frank, you know." But that's what happened how our country looking. The guys are today in power, enjoying. The power tomorrow. And people get in power. You'll see them again, come again. And some of them will do them well. Let me end here. When Liberia went with Spoon, yeah, I never forgot. We're seeing this one official house. We're actually not relaxing. The very put in power today. One of the guys said, "Yeah, watch. You'll see them come here tonight. You'll come in there quietly. You can't hustle."
Wow.
Oh, yes, they came there. They said, "I told you." And you see that one. And then also, I see somebody today and insulting and acting arrogant. One thing we don't do in our fraternity, I would not, you myself, Lofa, we get exchanges on WhatsApp, personal messages.
Right.
I would not go say, put on Facebook, let Lofa, no, I would never do that. But some people, they break this kind of policy and go to that extent. But look, like Ben said, I used to be the moral conscience. Let Ben tell you, Ben can fuck me. I would say, "My man Ben, will I be the moral conscience of society?" He said, "Okay, continue." Continue to be the moral conscience.
But that's
what did I say? Somebody say I said Lofa brought me back.
but Ben, you come through. Let me close on this note, right?
But did you say something on me? No,
The man said, if Donald Trump, he said, "No, if the guy had not cussed you up, Matthew, you'll be defending him right now."
Who defending who?
If Matthew had not cussed you, you'll be defending him right now.
Why would I be defending Matthew?
Because again, that I mean, that's your friend and brother from back then. It's politics.
What are you talking about, Lofa?
You asking me what I'm talking about? Isn't that the norm? That's the typical
What
thing.
norm? What are you
Man,
talking about?
that's politics. What I'm trying to say here, very often, people who are part of again, I think we are looking at it in a much more myopic manner or approach, where when the insults are thrown at people, we think that is where it starts. But I think everything starts from those who are contributing to the consistent corruption of the state. When those individuals are taken away, because corruption can be considered murder to some extent. Corruption is a part of so many things in our country, but we are okay with saying, oh man, that's a friend and a brother. That's politics moving forward. So I'm saying, had what's this guy named Matthew not insulting you to the extent which he did, you probably would have been here saying, oh, Matthew is a friend and brother. He's just it. Daniel Sando and he's a little brother to me, and a friend and brother. His politics.
No, I think you're missing something.
No, Ben, I'm not missing something. I understand exactly what I'm talking about, Ben.
But that's what I'm trying. You're accusing me of something. You're saying that.
So Ben, let me land. I'll give you the opportunity to respond. I'll give you the opportunity to respond, and let me close on this note. Last week, a couple of days ago, and I'm going to deviate here purposely because a couple of days ago when we were on the show, the issue of President Weah marching to the Capitol, I told Benjamin Jonah and Anthony on here that the information was provided that President Weah was not marching to no Capitol. All right, he would meet with Fanatic Kofa and his block, okay, because he was advised. Because while we were on the show, I was opportune to get a text message, and I spoke to, I think I put say in the chat room and everything. Tomalin can admit to that. I even called him to say, hey, I want you to check on this because somebody called me and stated this. Sometimes when we are on here, let us try to be very authentic with the information that we provide to the public because they rely on us to make these information and make sure that it is accurate. And that's why when I said no, President Weah is not marching down no streets. Nobody should be telling people to get in the streets and follow him. I was very authentic and I know what I heard and what I was informed about. And of course, President Weah didn't march down no street. He went and visited Fanatic Kofa and his block, and they had a conversation. That's just my point. And I close on this note. Again, we are.
So that is so confusing. I mean, why does that do anything?
I just told you I would deviate. I told you I would deviate.
Talk about Lofa.
Deviation means you will leave what is being discussed and
but Lofa, point of information. We are
understanding.
Ben, one second.
Deviation.
Ben, a point of information, Lofa. Yeah. There was a plan for Weah to march. There was.
Thank you.
Exactly.
But yet, why the plan was in place? Okay, why the plan was in place? Guess what? Again, it was the day before. It was stated that he will have nothing to do with it.
What are you talking about? No,
he was not going to march. Did he march?
No, Lofa. There was a plan.
Whoa.
There was a plan, but the reason he didn't do it was because the Supreme Court was getting ready to go ahead and have the conference. That's the reason.
But yes, the night before the march, right here, that's where we announced that we said, okay, President Weah, okay, the statement about President Weah having to march, it's not accurate because he's not going to be marching. So,
no, but you can say it's not accurate. He decided.
What do you mean it's not accurate?
He decided against it, Lofa, because of a reason. If the Supreme Court hearing
Ben, no. All along, President Weah had not. And I think you're in much more closer circle to President Weah than I am.
I'm going to tell you, Lofa. George,
the information that I got, he had no decision with that. That's not true.
You're arguing about something you have no idea about. You are insisting that he was not going to march. I'm telling you, there was a plan for him to do it. He decided against it, though.
There may have been a plan, but he may not have been a part of the plan. Let's agree on that.
Stop wasting our time.
Ben, you at this point you're wasting our time though, because the honest part about this is
Lofa, where are you getting your information from? What are you saying? Are you saying George Weah had no plan to march?
Hold on one second.
I'm asking you, yes or no. Are you saying President Weah had no plan to march?
Looks like just in cycles.
Yeah, because I don't understand this.
Did you want to chime in?
Who come in to chime in? My man, y'all let's do our closing, man. And first of all, Lofa, mute yourself. We can hear your conversation, by the way. Let me state. First of all, I don't understand what he was talking about with Matthew Yemblu and them. I have said consistently, and Tomalin is my witness. I said it over and over. I just don't care. I don't give a damn. It's not about somebody. You know how many people who have insulted me or said things about me that I'm cool with, I'm friends with.
It was your man Isaac Jackson. He wanted to charm me on the conversation, not to interrupt. It was your man Isaac Jackson.
We could hear you. That's why we could hear you.
Yeah. Okay.
But what I'm trying to say is, what you were saying is not accurate. I wasn't defending. I'm not trying to say that. What Isaac didn't cost me. I mean, what Matthew cost me, or the person cost me, the space that I'm in right now, I just don't care. Because if they want anything, it's their government. I specifically said that I don't have an opinion because I don't care. It's their government. They're having an internal thing in their government. So it ain't got nothing to do with anybody insulting me or saying anything to me. There are people who, what her name vehemently, I mean, she didn't insult me, but she vehemently disagree with me. Most of the time when I read post, she would count it, Fatima. She had a weekend hour with Fatima. I mean, Fatima
wanted to be with Ben throughout the wedding, yes.
Yeah, Fatima, my guy. You know, I call her calls, we call each other calls. So, no, what I'm trying to say is it had nothing to do with whether I would never have been talking about it, because at the end of the day, I just don't care. I speak on things that I care about. I speak on things that I have opinions about. If I don't have an opinion on something, it means I will say something because so and so. And then just to end the point, I just want to go back to this George Weah thing, Lofa. I don't understand what you were trying to say. Are you trying to say that at no point in time President Weah planned to march? Is that what you were trying to say? Because I'm missing it. I'm trying to understand.
That march.
Are you saying at no point in time he had planned to march?
Ben, and I make the point again. I will say this, all right? The information that is disseminated on this platform, again, should be considered highly important to how accurate we are providing this information. I said it on here the night before because it was the next day. I verified with folks who are within close proximity, and I said, President Weah will not be marching. And Benjamin, in his view, came up and said, no, that is not true.
So, okay, so you're saying that there was a plan.
No, it was Anthony.
Are you saying that there was a plan, but then he decided that he wasn't
if they had planned, I may not have been informed of the plan before or after, but I was notified while we were on the show. And Tomalin can admit to that, because I even called Pewee. I called Sylvester. I said, go, guys, let's go around. Pewee, Tomalin returned my call afterward. He didn't return, but he texted me and said, bro, I was busy. But I called Sylvester.
After the show or during the show?
Ben, this thing here is not about whether after the show or not. I'm telling you. I corrected that information, bro.
So you're saying the same thing we're saying then. So there was a plan, but your sources call you and told you that he wasn't going to do it, right?
No, I'm not aware of any plan, but I know that George Weah had no intention. I'm not aware of any plan, but I know that George Weah had no intention of
So this is what I'm trying to. This is why I'm trying to educate you now. Mm-hmm. There was a plan for him to march. He was supposed to march. He made a decision that he was not going to march because of the Supreme Court hearing. He did not want to be seen as interfering with the Supreme Court hearing. But it is a right that he decided that he said, you know what? Let everybody. There was a conversation around him marching, and it was agreed that this is not what was going to happen.
Again, I'm being notified that your information is inaccurate, but we'll talk about it in the
Lofa. I don't know.
Ben,
from nobody. So stop wasting our time today.
Ben.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, man. Who talking
let me say this, right? Let me say this quickly, right? Look, tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and I want to say this. Look, this time of the year that we exchange pleasantries with our friends, those today, somebody who I know has not spoken to me for almost 2 years, texted me today all of a sudden and to tell me how I was doing. I felt good about that. So, you know, I will say this publicly.
I hope that the person phone our hack though. Don't try it. Don't tell that thing, because myself got that text.
I wanna call that name because I got that text. Yeah, okay,
but know exactly where you going. Somebody phone got hacked and
besides that,
so that was not ill.
Okay, then.
So I tell you,
I
got a high message.
That's your Thanksgiving.
But in a serious note, look, it's the time of the year where we if those people who you disagree with, those who you have problem with, you trying to extend an olive branch to find common ground.
Yeah, you thought you have made peace, eh?
I know.
But Ben, I told him, I said, call me. When a person don't call me, a person don't call me. I said, but
I see things happen to me. That's exactly the thing that happened to me. And I was like,
don't call me. But look, there are people today in America, this great country, who do not have for tomorrow, do not have food to eat tomorrow. And even our country back home. But want to always say we thankful to God for where we are today and whatever you have done in your life. Be thankful to God, because tomorrow families will gather around the table. There are tables tomorrow. The chairs are missing at that table. Some people are missing from the chairs. You know, some people who were there last year, they won't be there tomorrow at that dinner table. So all you want to do is say, give thanks to God for preserving your health and your life. I want to say thank you to God for blessing us, giving an abundance. You have a job, you have a place to live, you have a car to drive. Some people today are driving, people in the cold, chilling. You most of us, we're not like that. We have place to stay, have car to drive. We don't want to be thankful to God. And I say, God bless everyone. And I give thanks to God. I just pray that God continue to give us good health and longevity. Well, guys, you guys can.
Happy Thanksgiving. All right, guys. Happy Thanksgiving, guys. I'm out.
You guys can say your Thanksgiving message. We'll stick out later time, guys. That's all.
Happy Thanksgiving to all, guys. I'm out.
Anyway, I just want to say thank you. Maybe the next show, there are a few things, that I would say, but I want to say thank you for you guys, and wish all of you happy Thanksgiving, and hope we can meet again another time. Thank you.
Yeah, same here. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Happy Thanksgiving to all the.
But Ben, why didn't tell me what I did? Because I was shocked.
I knew it was.
All on Facebook.
It's all on Facebook.
Why are you
Yeah.
Yeah. All that person friends got a message.
Everybody, yeah. You can't ask for money and all the person.
So 1,000. No,
1,000, yeah. But even with that, Tommy, you couldn't know that something was wrong.
No, but then because I said shocked. Then when I said call me.
Except when the message came, I was shocked. I looked, I was like, really?
The reason why I believe it first.
Because Thanksgiving too.
Yeah.
Giving to playing everything.
Yeah.
But anyway.
No, but yeah, we say happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
We didn't let the guys down. I mean,
tomorrow night you
are still up.
You will Liberian food tomorrow. That's part of our. I'm going to show tomorrow. Right? You having chai rice and gravy, tomogi, domo, everything will be eaten there. I'm going to know that your turkey thing. I into that crap. So
look forward to tomorrow.
Get my root butter and try my root butter and just chill, man.
Get my root butter.
That my pipe that Kev give me.
Oh, you got pipe?
Yeah, give me a pipe. You see? Kefigo. Everybody.
I know, right?
I'll put tobacco inside Kefigo. Choma, let the church say amen.
Amen.
Hell about do.
Choma Jara, trouble, man. Happy Thanksgiving, Choma.
Choma, let the church say amen. Amen.
And happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
What about our family today?
Look at little alley. All right, we'll see.
Okay, bro.
All right, guys.
Ria TV, True FM.
Say Ria TV, True FM.
On Ria TV,
into True FM. 96.1.
What's the meaning of the black barrier?
The black barrier is to tell Joseph Bakala, if you don't organize yourself in your barefoot manner, we'll take your better Liberia.
You might say what you want to say, but for us, we are here to make sure we build our country, that we are respected. We have donors that are coming because of the confidence.
News Summary at 12. My name is Hansen there represent. Welcome to News and Analysis 30 minutes of news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Presenting this newscast is proudly sponsored by Orange Liberia and EcoBank Liberia Limited.
How is life after the presidency?
But before the presidency, the same life, that's what you see. I live a different life. You know, when I was not president, this life, that's what I live, you know, with my family and
I have a lot of interest in the health sector, the educational sector, and the agriculture sector. Works connecting those systems.
Yeah, we are calling international community to come to intervene for us because, like I just stated previously, we don't know who to trust.
Always make sure to turn on to our
Liberia TV and listening to Truth FM 96.1.